Support the chair, indeed. Okay, you guys. All right. All right, you guys. So we are back, I believe. So yeah. Okay, so the match should be starting very, very shortly. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, thank you to somebody resubbed, right? Who just resubbed? Did somebody resub? Oh, sorry. I guess I missed something. Anyway, okay, you guys. So we are following Wesley. So the match should be starting very shortly. It is now 12 o'clock, so the match should be starting in a second. Thank you to Orgo Professor for the 4 months. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. They're a resub. Your headphones, untangle them, man, untangle them. I can't really untangle them, but I'll do something that's very ghetto, and I will put something on them to keep them straight. Because you guys, I see some people it really annoys them. Let me figure out how to do this. Burn them, eat them, do anything to make it better, right? Okay, this should be better. Should be better. Should be much better now. Hopefully. Can't promise anything. But yeah, it should be better. So, okay. Now I think at least it looks okay, right? Now it looks okay. There you guys go. Okay, so they have not started the match yet. I'm not really sure why, but we're still waiting. Untwist them? I can't untwist them because they're really, really badly tangled. Anyway, we're just waiting for the first game to start. But I would say for sure I would put the odd if I was the odds maker on this match, I would say it's about I would put it about 80-20 for Wesley. Maybe 75-25 to be fair. Maybe 75-25. I would say 4 out of 5 is a little bit too high. But 3 out of 4 feels about right. So I would say 75%. You got to notice that Wesley's playing. It says online for me. It doesn't say he's playing. It doesn't say playing. And I see Azuri Chess is idle. So thank you, Frog and Space 22 for the tier 2 sub. Much appreciated, my friend. Thank you so much. So yeah, still just waiting for the first game to start here. How's it going, Dragosila? What am I eating? I'm eating a great value bacon cheeseburger from the one and only Walmart. Okay, we're underway. Okay, so Shaq starts with white pieces, plays d4, knight f6. Is Walmart paying me? No, Walmart is not paying me. Why am I cutting the cheeseburger? Because I need to type. I don't want my hands to be messy since I just took a short break. Oh, right. Sorry, I should start the timer. Naka always seemed like a Whole Foods kind of guy. Well, you know, my sub count is down, so times are rough. Times are rough, so I can't really afford to go to a whole paycheck right now. Okay, so E3 Castle's pretty standard so far. Shaq's probably going to try to attack with H4 G4 since it's more in his style than playing positionally. But we'll see what he does. Maybe Knight E2. Okay, so he does play H4 as expected. Trader Joe's is good too, but again, Trader Joe's and Whole Foods are on the pricey side. Abdul Salam 35 says you look like you lost some pounds lately. Yeah, I mean it's hard when you travel all the time because when you're traveling and you're not home, you kind of feel an obligation to try and enjoy the local cuisine, and for that reason, it's very easy to put on a couple of pounds of weight when you're traveling all the time. Okay, G4 G6 played, maybe G5, maybe H5. Very tight structure in the center here. He does play G5 takes. I assume Bishop G7, of course. You don't want to take because then there are going to be issues on the open file where you don't have a piece around your king to support it. But yeah, I try to live my life the way Anthony Bourdain did. Like I love it. I love traveling. I love eating great cuisine great cuisine when I'm on the road. But when I'm home is when I'm generally in diet mode. Can we get a moves list in this? You guys want a move list? That's it. That's a good question. Should we have moves or not? Let's see. Chat, what do you think? Should we have the moves showing on the side or not? Okay, I'm being told that probably we should not. No, I mean it's gonna be hard to do that. Um, nah, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Okay, so anyway, Castles played, Night Before played by Wesley. Unanimously, no. Yeah, I would say 75% is what I would bet. So I would say 75% Wesley, 25% Shakhriar. 3 out of 4 Wesley should win. I like Leanne says, I hope you don't end it like him. Nah, I mean, we all have our issues, but again, life is pretty good. When you think about being able to travel, not even being able to travel, just when you have a good lifestyle, you can travel, do anything you want. In a way, it's there are a lot of people in this world who don't really have options, who are stuck. So, I mean, you have to be realistic. So no, I'm not going to end it the way Tony Bourdain did. That's for sure. Okay, so 3 minutes. So Shakhriar is thinking here. Queen d2 played. He probably wants queen f4, queen h4, queen h7, or queen f4 with knight e5 and threats against f7. Black's issues here is the queen side. He's lacking development. I'm expecting Wesley to play some b5 idea to just open up the diagonal and then play rook c8 and attack on the c file. um, yeah, so I mean, so far, so Shaq is really thinking here. I think he's trying to debate what he's going to do after bishop takes c4. If he just wants to go all in style, queen f4, queen h4, and knight e4, knight f6, also looks dangerous. Okay, he does go queen f4. He says, you know what? I don't care. If you play b5, I'm going to go knight e4, knight f6, and I'm just going to mate you. The reason I wasn't sure about queen f4 is because I thought black had knight d5, but I'm realizing queen h4, rook e8, it's still getting hairy after knight e5 or knight e4, and you can always just take on c4 if you want to. I don't have a score prediction. I just expect Wesley to... I would say Wesley's going to win the match 3 out of 4 times. That's my guess. Now this move I don't like because Wesley's idea is to play knight a2 or knight d5 and use the queen, but Shakhriar just takes on c4, and now you lose both ideas. And I'm a little worried that this queen on a5, it's a little bit far away from this king side. I'm kind of worried there's going to be some knight e4, knight f6 here. Actually, knight e4 looks extremely dangerous. Wait, knight e4? Ah, maybe you've got some trick with bc4. I mean, this looks horribly dangerous for black. Okay, but Shakhriar doesn't do that. I'm guessing Shaq's idea is to play rook h3, rook h1, queen f6 or something, but after bishop b7, I don't understand it. So he still wants knight e4, I guess. And maybe it's actually quite good, because this bishop on b3 is amazingly good. It defends all the queenside squares very nicely. Like knight e4, of course, here. Or rook h3, rook h1, queen f6 for the bone crusher. But rook h3 I actually kind of like here. I would say rook h3 or knight e4 are the two moves to consider as white. Queen h4, I just play rook d8, so that wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. I like rook h3. Also with the king on b1, after rook h1, there's no knight d3 fork, which is very important here. And the rook can do stuff. Now, I'm assuming Wesley's going to sack and play knight d5. Yeah, he is going to sack and play knight d5. Still not clear. So takes knight d5, takes queen d2, followed by knight e5. It feels like black should have enough counterplay, but I'm not 100% sure that he does. Obviously, you have to take, because knight c3 is just a fork. Obviously, c4 here. Okay, takes. So now rook b8, knight e5 will be played for sure. Rook b4, king a1. I feel like there's got to be something here for Wesley. It's hard for me to believe that white can survive this. And also, Shakhriar is really low on time also, which is not going to help. Maybe queen e3 and knight e2 is an idea here. This just looks terrible. Rook d4, queen f2 actually looks really strong here. Bishop c2 maybe also is good. Or no, then rook f4. Yeah, I mean, this must be winning. Even just bishop d5. This knight's terrible. Rooks are bad. King's bad. Just bishop d5 and just clean 0-1. Got f2, queen c2, king's awful. Rooks are terrible. Knight is just horrendous. What? What is... Okay, that was weird. Don't understand that. Very, very strange. Joe Street 71 is still flying out today. Isle of Man is starting soon. Yeah, rook h3 was a bad move, but I felt like around here, knight e4 looked really, really juicy. Even rook h3, rook... Yeah, actually, sorry, king b1, rook c... I thought knight e4 with knight f6 looked really, really juicy for white. Because then you've got knight e5. There really is no attack here on the king side. This queen and knight are really offside. So, big mistake, I felt. Okay, so why hasn't the second game started? Thank you, Matthew Sobin, for the 7 months. Thank you so much. Why hasn't the second game started? Slightly confused? Yeah, rook h3 was a very bad move. I think he missed rook takes c3. He missed rook c3 and knight d5. I'm a little bit confused. Why aren't they why haven't they started the second game? It started? No, it didn't start. What? It says Wesley So is online. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, here we go. d4, knight f6. If Wesley gets an early lead, I expect him to be very, very conservative as the match goes on. So probably knight c3 now. Maybe e4 ideas. Or he didn't play knight c3 because Shakhriar doesn't play the King's Indian. He plays the Grunfeld. So now he gets a fianchetto King's Indian here. Do I think Wesley will win? Yes. I already said before the match started that I think Wesley is 75%. I would say Wesley's going to win this match 3 out of 4 times. No biggie, no biggie. 5,000-year-old pharaoh. You've had 5,000 years to rest and try to catch up with what's happening these days. So I totally get it. 5,000 years is a long time to be resting. Actually, who was the pharaoh 5,000? Was there a pharaoh 5,000 years ago? 5,000 years ago is what? That's 3,000 BC. I don't think there were pharaohs that long ago. Maybe there were. I feel like it was around 20. Was it 2,500 BC that they started building the Great Pyramid? I think it was 2,500 BC that there were that they started building the Great Pyramid. Ramses, okay. King Tut was more recent than that. King Tut was not 3,000 BC. Okay, so c6, probably bishop b2, maybe knight d2 coming at some point. Black probably wants to go e4 d5 because then you can take with the pawn, and the a6 pawn covers this idea with knight b5 and knight c7 later on. Have I ever been inside the pyramids? No, I haven't. Cats were pharaohs back then? You guys are funny. The Pyramid of Djoser was 2630 BC. Okay, my Egyptian ancient history is not fantastic. My Greek history is pretty good. My Egyptian history is not perfect. Okay, so probably he wants to take like knight e2, queen c7, maybe knight a4 also. I assume he's gonna take. Goes knight e2. I don't like knight e2. I thought knight a4 was more realistic because even though you want to go knight a4, black plays knight e6 here, knight g5. I mean, I guess the knight on e2 is well placed, but I don't know. Knight a4 felt more logical to me. Okay, probably g4 here, I would assume. I guess knight e6 or knight h7. Probably e6 if you go knight h7, white gets knight to f4, and you want to prevent that. Manny Mano says, would you rather be Roger Federer or Cristiano Ronaldo? Of course, I would much rather be Roger Federer because Roger Federer has class. Cristiano, all he lives for is to rip off his shirt whenever he scores a goal. You don't see Roger, beating his chest or showboating the way you see it with Cristiano Ronaldo. So of course, Roger, any day of the week. Last I checked, even Messi, he celebrates, but you don't see Messi like. Messi doesn't live to like rip off his shirt. That's all Cristiano Ronaldo lives for. Thank you, Astrogna, for the tier 1 sub. If he won, bishop d7, maybe rook c8 coming. Although actually now white might get bishop d6. Yeah. Now this is ugly. Yeah. Well, this is not going well for Shaq. Already I think he's much worse in this game as well now. Just bishop e5. Maybe even just c5, just close the queen side. But With the rook on e1, not f1, you have no f3, so probably you don't want to close the queen side. Probably bishop e5. But yeah, I mean, Roger any day of the week. Like, come on. I mean, that's not even a question. I feel like Cristiano Ronaldo even wears like he puts on like freaking makeup and cologne and all this stuff when he's going out to play. Like, it's a sport. It's not like a beauty contest. Wow, knight g4, so takes probably queen g5. Shaq is really getting very bold and aggressive here at the start, trying to attack. Thank you, B1PO, for the 2 months. Much appreciated. So bishop g4, of course. Now you hit the bishop on d6. Probably cd5 and h3 are coming. But again, it's hard for me to believe that this can really work for black. Okay, you obviously have to take. Just cd5 is forced because you can still take with the bishop because your queen protects g5. Wow, he goes knight f3. I still think just king h1. This looks like a Danya game, actually. This is looking like a Danya game. Whoa, king f1, not h1. This looks like a game that I would have against Danya where I'm white and Danya's just randomly sacking nonsense every which way. Oh, Danya would agree. This is totally like a Danya game where it's like, oh shoot, I hung a piece. I didn't hang a piece. I'm positionally busted. Let's just sack a piece. Hope it works. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Although I feel like Wesley's not playing this precisely because it does feel like Black might get something here, like h3. But h3, bishop h1, h2 maybe with bishop h3. I'm sure this is just winning for white, but. I'm sure this is winning for white, but it is getting messy here now. You can always take the rook and take on d5 too. Wow. Wow. c5. This is, I don't even know what to say. I'm not predicting any of these moves. But I think you can just take and go, sorry, you can take and play knight g1, knight f3, and, I don't know, maybe you still have queen d5. I mean, very, very weird game. Very, very weird game. Yeah, I didn't like king f1. King h1 seemed much better to me. Knight h... Oh, there's no knight h2. I thought knight h2 was mate for half a second. But there's still g5 here. Like, this is crazy. Yeah, I mean, king f1 was so bad. I don't know why Wesley didn't go king h1. Uh-oh. Bishop takes e5 and checkmate? Or maybe rook e5 is better. Yeah, rook e5 is much better. Rook e5. Rook e5, Shaq. Rook takes e5. Although, but then there's bishop f3, ef3, de5, queen d5. I mean, very, very messy position. There's also f6, maybe? This is very hard to predict what's going to happen in this game. Okay, so cd4, but now rook c8, queen c8, rook c1. I mean, this... I think you can take and play rook c1 with the tempo on the queen, and then there's no knight h2 mate, so you can then just take on g7. Okay, I don't know what either of these guys are doing right now. This is just bizarre. I mean, rook takes c8 was just winning for white, I thought. Because if bishop takes e5, then you have bishop f3, or rook c1 as well, because then you create the square for the king. Okay, this is just too weird for me. I mean, now after bishop f3, knight f3, bishop e5, it's probably balanced again. But yeah, anyway, let's get back to the game. Maybe rook c1 first is also possible here. Stellar says our music tastes are so similar. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, so rook c1 played, so if bishop f3, I assume bishop g7, and white's just, well, but then queen d5. I think this is just winning for white. Okay, so he's gonna take on e3, obviously. He's got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's probably gonna have three pawns and three pawns for the piece that white has. But white has a blockade here, so white should be okay. AdriChess22 says, big fan, please adopt me. Sorry, AdriChess22. I can't adopt you because as you see, I'm going and buying great value burger packs from Walmart, so I can't afford the child support. Okay, so rook c8 played, queen e7, d6, good move. Shaq is just too slow. I mean, dude, you gotta move faster, bro. Queen e3, of course, correct. Takes queen e7. So yeah, this is just busted. Shaq is just too slow, And look at this is the other problem. Look at this blockade, like knight h3, knight f3, e4. Yeah, Shaq is too slow. Just too slow. Too old, too slow, right? Bishop c8, of course, obviously. I think you can just take because you can't go g4 if you go. Okay, Shaq's trying. Have to go king e6, but f5 is still not a threat. You like knight d4 is coming. Not gonna get it done, Shaq. Shaq's just a little bit too he's too slow. He's just too slow right now. So we're probably going to get the same opening. I assume Shaq already down 2-0 should feel the need to go crazy. I would go crazy. Down 2-0, you definitely need to try and win. So, I mean, already, like I said, 5+1 is where I feel Shaq has the best chance. So he's got to do this again. And I bet Shaq has an improvement in mind already. Okay, castles. We're probably going to get the same line. No, he actually... Wow, Wesley plays knight b4 again anyway. Okay, so queen f4. I bet Wesley's not going to play queen a5 here, though. Not much older than you, needs to lose weight. To be fair to Shaq, I think Shaq recently got married for a second time, maybe about a year and a half ago. His wife just had a child, so no judgment there. Having kids definitely makes things a lot tougher. So, I mean, I have nothing bad to say about Shaq. Okay, so he's going to play rook c8. He's going to play knight e4, I assume. I mean, knight e4, obviously. Knight e4, for sure. Come on, Shaq. Knight e4, baby. Good. He's got to take, of course. I think this is nonsense. I think Wesley's playing bad chess right now. I think this opening is not sound. The way Wesley is playing this, I think, is, as Gary would say, very smelly. Very smelly. I don't think this is correct. I think fundamentally this is probably just losing for black. But of course, Shaq didn't play knight e4 in game 1. He played rook h3. Also, I see Daniel's like LMAO. I'm sure Daniel would, yes, but the Gary, there's also the new, like, there's a new, ooh, let's like move our hands all over the place. The very new, the new thing Gary has started doing recently, which he never used to do. Gary isn't Kasparov, yes. Like, in St. Louis, Gary's doing the whole, like, he was just like, let's like move our hands all over the place and create some, magic. Okay, so you have to take on e4. Oh, you're right. Actually, you guys are right. I should watch from the white perspective, shouldn't I? You guys are right. I should do that. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put white at the bottom from now on. Thank you, Little Techie, for the 10 months. Much appreciated. That's a habit from recording his masterclass. Oh, I mean, I bought the, like, this. Ooh, my gosh. It's bishop e6, knight e... Actually, ooh, knight e5, knight g6, and bishop e6 looks crushing for white. Yeah, knight e5. Ooh, knight g4, knight f6. Ooh, this looks really, really bad. Yeah, I think this is nonsense. I think it's very poor decision by Wesley to repeat this line. Like I've said it before or during the first game. It didn't feel right to me. It just didn't feel right. This queen and this knight and this bishop just stuffing the whole attack here. And so I'm really, really surprised that Wesley repeated this because it's like insane. Maybe Wesley felt like, okay, if Shaq doesn't convert this time, then Shaq has to change openings. But I'm sure Shaq, just like me, figured this has to be bad. He just played rook h3, blundering rook c3. But very, very poor choice by Wesley to repeat this. Extremely poor choice. If rook c4, I can even just play knight c4 takes and bishop c4. I think this is just busted. Completely busted. Maybe rook e8 is a try, but still. Takes and bishop e6. Okay, I mean, knight f7? I mean, knight f7 looks... Knight f7 just looks like game over to me. Knight f7, rook f7, queen e6. Game over. Good night. Yeah, this is, yeah, like... Is there a meaning story behind the meaning being the sub icon? That's my name in kanji. That's my name in kanji. Okay, Wesley just resigns. Gets absolutely destroyed in this game. Okay, so we're gonna get a Grunfeld here. Probably takes. I guess Shaq, not Shaq. Sorry, Wesley decided that last game was a little bit too hairy and wild, so he decided he wouldn't repeat that in this fourth game. Okay, rook c1, queen d2, standard setup here. Okay, knight f3. Maybe queen a5, maybe knight f6. Also b6 ideas coming. He's gonna play b6 in a move or two. Was I born in Japan? Yes, I was born in Japan. Wesley is playing for fun. I'm not so sure that Wesley's playing this for fun. I bet Beststock says I bet on you giving 8-1 on SEC. Please win the whole event. 8-1. You're saying for $100, if you put $100 on me, you get 800. If I understand correctly. Do I understand those odds correctly, or am I wrong? So e5 is played, trying to force white to close the center here. Who doesn't look well? Wesley shouldn't be happy because I think Wesley in these first three games he's up 2-1, but I think he should actually be down like 3-0. He's not playing good chess to start. Oh, $100 to win 108. Yeah, yeah, that's gross. That's terrible. So that's 1.8. That's 1.08 to 1 is actually what you mean. That's that's not good odds. Betting 100 to win 8. So you're betting, you're trying to make 8% on your money. That's not those are terrible odds. Those are really, really bad odds. Wait, not 108? Okay, so h4, h5 played. Oh, do you mean against Dobrov? Oh, maybe those are my odds against Dobrov. Ah, you talking about my match? If that was my match against Dobrov, I would understand it. Okay, so far, pretty balanced position. He's trying to force d5. Now, with h4, h5, one thing if you get d5, c4 is black can't really ever play f5, but Wesley trying to keep it really simple and not make it messy again. Yeah, I mean, my match against Dobrov, I mean, if you're trying to bet to make like 5% or 8%, I mean, I would just buy some weekly puts or weekly calls on the S&P and gamble instead, because that's a better idea than betting on me to make like 5% on $100. Speaking of that, I see we continue to collapse today, which is also unsurprising. What are we down? Oh, down almost 2%. Nice. All right. So let's see. So takes knight d4 played. Probably a6 or knight f6. Plays knight f6. f3 obviously will be played. Wesley's trying to keep this very, very dry here. Very, very dry. Maybe rook c7 is an idea too, but I just like f3 here. We go vegan, says Canucks hat. Yes, of course. I spent some time in the Pacific Northwest. Vancouver is great, great place. I love Vancouver so much. Place is very dear and near to my heart. Did I switch to Walmart food because the market is down? No, not exactly. But I mean, I do have some short positions for October, some serious short positions in the S&P and the Qs. So I put them on some time ago, so I need us to go down quite a bit. But yes, I do have some serious positions. Okay, so Wesley's just going to gambit the pawn, play rook c7, I guess, or rook e1. I don't know if I love this, because you can take and play knight c6 and just rook b8, but I think Wesley right now, what he's trying to do, I think what Wesley's trying to do right now, what do I have? APEC costs us 2,800 puts. No, I think I've got a 2,900, 2,750 in the SPX, if I'm not mistaken. I've got a put spread. I've also got like down to like 260s in the S&P as well. Okay, rook d8 played, hits the knight, hits the pawn. Rook d1, but I think you can take, because any discovery with the knight, black just takes, and the rooks get connected. Okay, rook c7, trying to take advantage of this lack of coordination here. Maybe king g8, maybe knight c6 actually. What about knight c6 here? Knight c6 looks like a really nice move. Because again, you can't check because I take and connect, and now you've got the pin. I think after knight c6, black is just clearly better. Maybe not better, but black's out of danger after knight c6. Even bishop d7 I trade and then I get a check. And I get a check and then I double. So knight c6 I like. A6 is also a move followed by knight c6, but a6, bishop e2, or bishop a4, and then I'm protecting the rook. So I would play knight c6 here. Oh, you want bishop g4, f3, bishop f3, gf3, rook d4. Ooh, bishop g4. Ooh, delicious. I like it. Bishop g4 is a nice move here. Although bishop g4, I can maybe play rook d2. And then rook c8, rook b7. Still messy, still messy. But I would say knight c6 or bishop g4 are the two moves I would consider here. Plays a6. Okay, so got to go to one square or the other. I would assume bishop a4. But see, maybe he wants, I think what he wants is b5, bishop b3, rook d7. Yeah, b5, bishop b3, rook d7 makes a lot of sense here. So b5, come on, Shaq, let's go. Just play b5. Let's think about, dude. He took like a minute to play a6, and now he's thinking forever here. Just b5 and rook d7. Yeah. What? I mean, I guess this is fine too, but rook d7, I think black was just up a pawn and much better. I don't understand why he played knight c4. And the problem now is that basically what happened is that Shaq used all this time, and at the end of the day, it's still just equal, but he's way down on the clock. So I don't like the time usage by Shakhriar here at all. I think he's completely fine, but he wasted a minute and a half here. I mean, if I'm Wesley here, yeah, draw's not crazy. I don't know I think if I'm Wesley there, I play the meta and I run the clock down for another 50 seconds. Like, This is a match after all, so unlike in a normal game, I would have probably just sat there for a minute, because if you're Wesley here, you have to be assuming you're better in 3+1 and in 1+1. So for that reason, you want to try and burn as much time off the clock as you can. So that was bad meta there by Wesley. Slight mistake taking the draw right away when he could have just ran his clock down for about a minute. Go use the restroom, come back, chill out, come up, just think about some improvement on the last game rather than taking the draw right away. So I don't like that Wesley did that. Shaq will castle again, of course. Okay, so Wesley tries to improve with Queen A5 here. Logical decision. You don't really want to take because in black it's an active bishop. Maybe A3 here. I don't know what's going on after takes B5. I'm wondering about rook H4 maybe, so that when you capture, you can then follow it up with rook H1. It also supports the pawn on D4. Queen D2, Queen F4 is again an idea as well. But I like rook H4 here. I'd probably play rook H4. Weird to look at it from this side now. Yeah, but I'm just going to keep white at the bottom, because otherwise I'm just looking at it from Wesley's viewpoint. Okay, so he does Queen D2 anyway, just to play Queen F4. Because now if DC4, Queen F4, we have a no, it's not quite a transposition if DC4, Queen F4. But DC4, Queen F4, you're probably going to have to go Knight B4, Bishop C4, and it will transpose. So it's not so easy. So Queen F4, I would expect Queen F4 here. But maybe there's E5? No, okay, he takes. So he doesn't want to give B5. I thought Queen F4. Okay, now Queen F4. Or maybe D5. Probably just Queen F. I like Queen F4 here. Yeah, Queen F4 looks good. Queen F4 looks good here. I like Queen F4. Plays Queen E3. I guess he wants to play for D5 here. I don't understand why he didn't go to F4. I thought F4 to go to H4 made a lot more sense, because now these Knight E4, F6 ideas are a lot less potent with the Queen on E3. On F4, there always are threats against F7. Queen on E3 doesn't really hit the pawn here on E6, so I don't like this. Bishop B7. No, but then there's Bishop E6. Maybe this is the point. That Shaq is saying you can't develop the bishop because I'll take on E6. Although I still know what's happening after Bishop B7, Bishop E6, Rook E8, D5, FE, takes, Knight E5, there's Bishop H1. Probably you can just play Bishop B7 here. It's also worth noting after Knight E7, Knight F5, you gain a tempo on the queen, whereas the queen on F4, there is no tempo. So Wesley does find Knight E7 as expected. I assume you have to go Knight E5 now, because you also have Knight C6 ideas if the knight ever leaves. But somehow this doesn't feel right. I feel like this attack didn't work. Feels like this Queen E3 move was a little bit suspect. Queen F4 was probably a better move. Still, I think you have to play Knight E4 anyway and just say, who cares? Okay, so Shaq basically says, you know what, I made a mistake. I'm going to waste a tempo and go to F4. I assume Bishop B7, Knight E5, Knight F5. And maybe there's some Knight F7, King F7, Queen C7 check again. Okay, Knight E5 I think is forced here. Maybe you can still play Knight E4, Knight F6. But it feels iffy. I would probably just play Knight E5 here and Knight takes F7. Something like Knight E5, Bishop B7, Knight F7, King F7, Queen C7, which is winning. If Knight E5 takes, Bishop H1, just Knight D8, because then E6 is hanging. So Knight E5 is just kind of a forced. And if Knight E5, Queen C7, you have Knight takes G6, because you support the queen, you still hit the queen on C7. Shaq is just thinking and thinking and thinking forever here, which is just not going to get it done. Although I am wondering if this is going to be the slowest speed chess championship, or not slowest, but the lowest scoring for 5-1, because they're both going at a very slow clip right now. Now I think you can just take and go ed5, and eventually you're going to somehow get this bishop here with knight g7 or knight d6 or knight e7, and the queen on c3 also covers h8, so I think you just take on c3. So Wesley's still thinking here. So he takes on d5. Okay. Knight d5, knight f6 is coming, I think, here. Thank you, FB3 or FBI. Thank you for the 10 months. I would assume knight f6, you have to play knight f6 here. Unless you want to go queen h2, or maybe even just king b1 to be prophylactic. Ooh, maybe knight e5. Ooh, knight e5 looks juicy here. I like knight e5. I like knight e5 here. Knight e5 looks good. Fancy Cake 123 says, at Hikaru, GM Hikaru, your age is running and you have to qualify for the candidates. I mean, you make it sound like I'm like a, you know, like female or something trying to have a kid. Like, you know, my clock is running out. Like, come on, dude. Relax. Relax. Take a deep breath and relax. Okay, so I don't like rook c5. Knight f6 looks good. Oh, do you have knight e7, bishop e6? Knight e7 is winning because you've got checkmate on f7. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Wesley is getting pretty, he's getting pretty dinged up. No, pun unintended. He's getting dinged up pretty good in this Queen's Gambit decline so far. He won that first one, but he should have lost that. He lost the last one. He's definitely losing this one too. Yeah. And also, if you go king f8, there might even just be knight c6, rook d1, and rook d8 next move too. Yeah. That was an unintended pun, you guys. But yeah, king f8, knight c6 is just GG. Knight c6, because you're also going to have a queen b8 check too. Yep. Shaq is playing some very inspired chess so far. I'm really digging it. You have to play queen b6, and then I think rook d8 is just winning for white. Rook d8. Thank you, Bantam, for the converting the Twitch Prime to a tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. Rook d8 is just winning here for white. Even bishop e6 is probably good too. Like, everything is just great for white. Maybe bishop e7 takes, rook d8, king f7, not so clean. Thank you, St. Keisman, for the prime sub. Thank you so much. So he does take. So obviously you take, and maybe knight g6 is his idea. Yeah, because you're still gonna get rook d8 and knight e5. So this is still just terrible for Wesley. And if you go king g8, I can even just go knight e7 back. So very Wesley should really be thanking his lucky stars that he's not down 4-0 or 5-0 in this match, because he's been soundly outplayed so far, it feels like. Okay, now you can also put this knight back and then go knight d7, which is winning, for example. You can put this knight here. But now king g8, rook d8, bishop f8, rook f8. Uh-oh, game over. Rook d8 again is probably winning here. Queen e4 is also, I think, just fantastic. Queen d2. No, queen d2, there's rook d5. Queen f3 also works. I mean, all the queen moves here are good for white. Plays queen h2. Yeah, same point as queen f3, except queen h2 still supports the knight on e5, and I think Wesley is probably going to resign here. Queen h2 is a very nice touch by Shaq. Very nice game by Shakhriar. Two really nice wins with the white pieces. Okay, so here we go. 2.5 all now. This guy is a good player. Shaq is always a very inspired player. He has his big ups and downs, but when he's playing on, his attacking style is very creative. But yeah, I agree. Unless Shakhriar gets an advantage in the 5-1, he's going to have big problems later on. So probably this is not. I feel like this is similar to the game between Teimour Radjabov and Teimour Radjabov and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave from the FIDE World Cup. Same kind of line. This E3 DC3 with E3 E4, but unlike Maxime, Shaq went knight 6 right away. He didn't go E6 immediately. Where like Radjabov was able to get some E5, bishop D3, queen C2, and some real nastiness on the king side. Okay, so castles. So queen g3. Of course, he wants to trade the queens. Probably bishop d6 here makes sense. Have I shorted any stocks or index lately? I mean, I've had short positions in the S&P in September, October, and November. September I was able to offset with some long calls, so that was fine. October I'm still hoping for a big crash, but nonetheless, I mean, I mean, in general, I'm leaning short, and I've bought a lot of my long positions lately have become very conservative too. Like, been buying dividend stocks with like 6-7% yields mainly. I'm not optimistic going forward. Okay, so bishop b7. Probably we've got an end game here, so a very dry kind of position that I think Wesley is going to enjoy playing. Maybe f4, maybe g3. Okay, he goes rook h5, play rook h1, g5, an attack on the king side. Makes a lot of sense. You don't really want to play f6. There's like bishop c4, but f6 will support a knight e5 later on. The problem for black is bishop and knight don't really look good. Do an investment stream. I mean, well, I feel like there might. I mean, I guess you're right. In theory, I could do something like that, but I mean, I would say right now, just it really it's not realistic. Cause I'm not going to trade. I don't day trade. There was a period I was day trading gold every day in like 2015 ish, 2016 ish, but like I'm not going to day trade, and I mean investing's pretty straightforward for the most part. Maybe rook h1, play for g5. I do like telecom still, though. I do like Verizon and AT&T. I was day trading Nugget, actually, NUGT, the 3Xer, and Dust, of course, the 3Xer on the other side. I was trading the 3Xers, but there was a specific trend that I noticed. I think in 2016, there was a very specific trend I noticed that was for, I believe, 10 straight months. When I looked at gold, whenever the Fed released their minutes, I think it was 10 straight months. I believe it's the third Friday. Is it the third Friday when the Fed minutes came out? Every single time for 10 straight months, the gold index, I mean the 3Xer specifically, would go up 2% plus every single time on that news. So that was one thing that I did notice that trend specifically. Now, of course, it's changed, that it's not the case anymore, but I did notice for 10 straight months that on the Fed minutes, every single time, actually it's not Friday. Was it Friday or Wednesday? I think it's Friday, but I noticed every single time gold went up on that announcement. So I was day trading that specifically because I did notice that pattern. That was one pattern that I specifically noticed. Okay, so king f8, king b1 play. You play king f8, so on g5 you can take, and your king runs here. On g8 you'd be getting checkmated. But okay, so Shaq is thinking here. Maybe he wants to play knight a5, try to open this bishop. Maybe knight b8, knight b8, knight d7. Okay, plays f6 now because now I think on bishop c4, knight e5. There's takes. Okay, f4. I don't like what Shaq is doing in this game. I really don't like this f6 move. Because now g5 is coming, bishop c4. You've got these weaknesses, and the problem here is you also don't have a square for your knight. This doesn't look good. Thank you, Feathers Lou, for the 8 months. Much appreciated. Probably g3 here. Maybe actually g5 takes an h7 might be strong too. Plays g3. Now g3 I don't like because now you're actually creating a weakness here on e4. Like now maybe I can play knight a5 because I'm threatening rook d2. And if I get bishop c6, knight b7, knight d6, this pawn is really soft on e4. So I don't like g3, even though I think white still should be better. I don't love it. Now king g8, of course. So king c1 played. White doesn't really want to take, because then after bishop f6, you're up a pawn, but this e4 pawn is a little bit weak. Yes, I have adopted Eric on quite a few occasions, actually. It hasn't been just like once. Derby Stats says, Hikaru, I'll sub next week when I get paid. Love your content. Thank you so much, Derby Stats, for the kind message. You don't have to subscribe. I do appreciate it, though. Hope everything is good with work. Hope all is good in life. APEC also says maybe they should consider turning the 5-1 to 5-0. Yeah, but the problem with 5-0 is then like certain people have a big advantage, myself included, where we can just like flag people over and over again. So, but 5-1, however, does feel like classical, which is why yesterday my match against Dobrov, I was just bored out of my mind because I felt like, what am I doing? I'm just playing classical chess here. So okay, he does take the pawn now. Probably bishop f6, rook e6, rook e8, I would assume, unless there's bishop e8. There is bishop e8, okay. Okay, rook h2, so obviously you should take on e5 now. Still concerned about g5, knight c4. It feels like there's some Swiss cheese holes for black here. So I think white's better. Teo smashes, do you take any breaks from chess card to reset your mindset? I do. The problem is this year's been so messed up. This year's been so hectic and so busy. Oh, Bernie's in the hospital? Oh, I didn't see that. Hospitalized for heart procedure. Oh dear. Okay. Anyway, okay, so black's up a pawn, but there's some nice Swiss cheese holes on all these light squares. It doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel good to be Shaq here, I don't think. There's knight e5, rook h1 also. Okay, knight g5, I thought rook h6, rook f2. Again, this knight is so bad, and you really, there are too many threats here on the light squares for white. So I don't like this position at all for uh for Shakhriar. Bishop a6, of course, obviously, followed by b4, and it's game over because then the knight can't cover c4. Bishop a6, GG. Okay, he sees it. GG, b4, game over. Good night. Good luck, good night. Or it's good night, good luck. Good night and good luck, right? That's the Edward R. Murrow saying, I think. It's good night and good luck, right? Isn't yeah, bishop c4, rook f8, game over. Checkmate. Good night and good luck, everybody. Okay, so Wesley changed up. Now he plays knight b7, doesn't play h6 right away. So Wesley finally decides that he's gonna do something different. Okay, rook c1, c5. This is I had this with white against Rajbov in the FIDE knockout in Moscow earlier this year. That was Edward R. Murrow, wasn't it? I didn't think that was Walter Cronkite. I'm pretty sure that was Edward R. Murrow. Okay, so we've got what, about 31 minutes left, I think. Okay, a6 play to play for b5. Made it for life, says Murrow. I'm old enough to remember. Yeah, back in the old days when there were great journalists, right? Cronkite, Murrow. Did I make advantage against Rajbov in that game? I did win that game against Rajbov. So b5 played, and that's the way it is. Yes. Or of course you can do the Bruce Almighty one, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Okay, so b5. Probably white should play knight e5 or knight d4, followed by bishop f3. Okay, knight e5, bishop b7, of course. Probably bishop f3, I would think. Okay, so I guess queen b6, you can play queen d1, rook d1. It's possible. Obviously, you take with a pawn. You don't want to remove the centralized knight. It's an endgame, so the double pawns aren't a big deal here. b4 is possible. b4 a3 maybe. Knight e4 is also a move. Actually, knight e4 you can just take and play g5, so that would be bad. So this looks pretty balanced. Do you stay classy, San Diego? Yes, of course. Ron Burgundy, another famous imaginary newscaster. Okay, knight e2, logical move. Try to play b4, try to put a knight on c6. Try to take advantage of these rooks and the fact that white controls both the c and d files here. Who's better here? I would say if anybody's better, it's white, but the position is pretty balanced. So still going to be still the outcome is still unclear. Go big Shaq. I feel like, I mean, I don't generally take sides, but I feel like overall, Shaq has played significantly better than Wesley. So for the moment, I'm definitely rooting for Shaq because he has played the better chess. So he definitely deserves to be leading the match so far. Fiery Scribe says I had a jet yesterday but did not go win. Yes, I did win. I beat Vladimir Dobrov. I think by the end it wasn't that close, but he played very well in the 5+1, and it was close until he made the mistake of bringing out the hammer. When he brought out the hammer, that made me angry, and then I just had to beat him down. So G5, Bishop G3 played. If knight D5, probably knight D4. Probably knight D4 and knight C6 makes sense here. Okay, Bishop F6. Now you can put one of the knights on C6. Knight G4, Bishop G7 doesn't really look right, because then the knight's much better on E5. I'm thinking knight C6 makes the most sense here. Although you can put the other knight on C6. But I would put the D knight on C6 here, definitely. Maybe you can play E4 also to try and get some flash tactics in a pan with knight D7. But I would play knight C6 here, I think, for sure. Okay, so still, Shaq is thinking for a long time here. He still has time. So there's no rush for him to move. Here, Rouser again says, is it true that your American name is actually Jason? Yes, my name is Jason Bourne. Thank you, Barons and KT, for the 3 months. It is my subversary. Hi, Hikaru. Thank you so much. Thank you to Bantam for the 100 bits. Does Tesla buying Boston Dynamics change anything? I didn't actually notice that. I didn't hear about that news. I mean, Boston Dynamics, those guys scare me. When I see their bots, I find it very disturbing. Now, I didn't like this because I thought there was knight a4, but maybe the reason Shaq put this knight here is from e5 you can go to d3 to protect b2. Okay, so f6, good move by Wesley. Yeah, I mean, this is why the knight was better on d4 than e5, because now you have to play knight d3, and it's probably a draw, but you're going to end up a little bit worse because black's gaining infiltration on the c file. Goes knight g4. So if h5, he wants to sack an exchange, but this bishop is bad. Pawn structure is not great. Like, this is iffy. I don't like what Shaq has done here. And after rook d5, oh no, you can't take you hang the knight. But rook d5 takes knight f6. King f7 takes knight d3. You won't be able to keep rooks on the board because I'm going to be able to play rook c1 and exchange them. So yeah, knight g4 is not a good move. Thank you, KCP40, for the 9 months. Much appreciated. This is the first game that Wesley has been very solid and Shaq has not played well. Although maybe there's knight h6, knight f5. But then maybe there's knight h6, knight f5. Plays e4. Okay, takes. Actually, I missed this. Sorry, I missed that e4 was a move. Okay, so gf3, b4, knight e4, d takes e6. Tricky position. But I think Wesley is in a much better shape here, just because this pawn is a real like nail in White's king side here, and you're gonna be cramped. Plays d6. Okay, knight d7. Obviously, rook c7 only move. Rook d8. Maybe rook d3. But f5, f4 is coming too. This bishop on g3 is really bad here. Okay, f5 obviously. f5, h4. I feel like this is better for Wesley. f5 obviously. What is Wesley thinking about here? Maybe he's worried about rook e3, f4, rook e6 or something? But I don't understand why he's thinking here. f5, rook takes f3, f4, and your bishop is completely trapped. I don't know. Why hasn't Wesley just played f5? I don't understand what he's thinking about here. Like f5, h4, f4, bishop h2, e5 is just... What? I mean, what? Come on, Wesley. What is king f7? What is king f7? Because now white can always just play like h4. This pawn is good. Also, why did he go king g6? He could have gone e5, king e6 to put pressure on the pawn. Very, very suspect play by Wesley here. Very, very suspect. Very suspect. And again, if Wesley had won this game, he would be up 2 points. So like he really was winning. He should have won this game actually. So it's very, very very, very bad by Wesley here, honestly. Because he could have been up 2 and really started to put the heat on Shaq. Because as I've mentioned a few times now, Shaq is definitely definitely his best chances are in the 5+1. So that was very weird by Wesley. Okay, probably f3, queen b3, of course. Queen c7. You go like bishop d2 and castles normally. At some point, you'll take this bishop on g6 as it's kind of annoying, and play like g3, bishop g2, or g3, bishop e2. Okay, bishop e7, rook c1. I mean, Wesley is. I'm sure Wesley. It's not a huge deal to Wesley, but I mean, if he'd won that game, there would be serious pressure on Shaq to do something here. Okay, so knight d7. G3. Probably he's going to take at some point and just try to castle here, I'm guessing. Okay, a6, try to play for b5, so Wesley plays a4, bishop h5. g5 is now a threat. White should obviously castle, so he supports it with the rook on f1, so g5, knight g2. I don't really like what Shaq is doing in this game. This should just be better for white. Very, very nice position. Just like knight g2, you can play for e4 at some point. So yeah, I mean this position to me this looks great for Wesley, but quite a ways to go. Someone going to Mars? I mean, I would go to Mars if it ever becomes livable. Although personally, I've been reading what's it? Let me pull it up. I was reading the book. I was reading a book on like floating planets and the science behind that, because I noticed that the difference between SpaceX and Blue Origin is that Blue Origin, I've noticed, which is Jeff Bezos' company, they're more into like the idea of like floating habitats. And I kind of actually I agree. I think that's more realistic than living on Mars. So I've been reading a book on that. Let me just go to Amazon so I can pull it up. Yeah, I bought yeah, the High Frontier, Human Colonies in Space. Exactly, yeah. Okay, so knight d6 played a bishop e6. You take queen e6, rook f7, knight d5, queen d8 blashes up a piece. So you can't really take. Okay, so he takes h6 played. Maybe bishop e2, bishop e3. Terraforming Mars, yeah. Well, as far as terraforming Mars goes, like if we could terraform planets, then we could live anywhere. But terraforming, I don't know if that's ever realistic or not. Obviously, you see it in all kinds of sci-fi things, but I don't really know if I agree with it. Okay, so c5 played. Maybe bishop f3 is an idea. Put pressure on the pawn on b7 here and play for knight e4 because you've got this c file, which is pretty nice. He plays e4. Okay, so if takes knight d5, queen d8, knight e7, queen e7. He has this idea. He wants to go bishop a5, queen a5, knight e7, king h8, h7, and then go queen h3, checkmate. So that's why he's hoping he takes. But I still don't really believe in it because takes knight d5, queen d8, bishop a5. There's b6, knight b6, and then like knight e4. It's a little suspect, but Shaq decides not to go for that. He plays a more pragmatic approach with rook c8. But now I think the issue is after d5. D5 maybe you have e5 and c4. If e5 you get knight f5, knight d4, which is huge. So it's still tricky, still a tricky position. But I thought he should have taken on d4 there. That looked correct. Probably you move the queen. I don't know where. Probably d8 just to keep an eye on g5. Okay, if queen c2 you have knight e4 because knight e4 you hang material on c2. Plays queen b4. Is there knight takes e4, knight e4, knight e4, rook c7, bishop takes b4 here? I think Wesley blundered. I think you can play knight takes e4. I think you can play knight d takes e4. I think black's better if he finds it, but I don't know if he will find it. Although maybe after rook c7, bishop b4, there's rook b7, bishop c5 takes, knight c5, and rook b4. Maybe it's still balanced, I guess. You can also play a5 here to kick the queen, and then play like b6 or something. So it's still not so easy. But I think knight e4 is correct because you can also play a5 to support the bishop at the end of the line. So knight d takes e4 looks like knight d4, and if bishop e5, you just go back to d6. Yeah, knight takes e4. Knight takes e4. Yep. The 5,000-year-old Pharaoh says, do you know who Dogs of War is on chess.com? Dogs of War is the one and only Wesley So, who is currently playing in this match. I don't know why Shaq is thinking so long. He's been thinking for a while here. He's really just got to go for it. He does it? Okay, very nice, Shaq. So I think this line is going to be pretty forced here with rook b7, a5. Now the problem is, even though black's got a bad pawn structure in terms of the kingside structure, white's already put these pawns on f4 and g5 where they're completely fixed. You have no forward progress with these pawns. So I don't like this so much. Knight e4, he'll play rook c7, he'll take, and he'll go a5 at the end, a5 to support the bishop. It's also worth noting these pawns are on dark squares, so his bishop on b4 can very easily attack them. I do not live in St. Louis, you guys. I live in sunny Sunrise, Florida. He plays rook c1. Okay, so but still, I think you still just take and play a5. And I don't like this position for white because rook d8 is coming. These pawns are soft. I like this position for black. Oh, wait, there's rook d8 also. Or you can play rook d8 right away. I thought rook cd8 made more sense, but maybe with one rook on the board, it's easier to play here because these pawns are really soft. Okay, so bishop e3. This is why I like two rooks on the board, because bishop d2 was very strong there. Okay, I think you still have to go bishop d2, but There's going to be bishop f3 at the end here. Bishop f3, knight d6, rook d7. But then b6, a5, and black just up a pawn. Tricky. f5 looks insane, so you have to go knight d6 or rook d4. If looking at the match situation, I think knight d6 is played. So if bishop b7, I mean, I think you can take and play rook b. Okay, he plays a5 logical. Actually, put the pawn on a dark square. I assume he plays rook d7. No, I think. Oh, Wesley blundered. He blundered b2. Because now on rook d6, rook b7, rook a6, rook b4, you're gonna lose because now I'm actually gonna gobble everything here. With like rook g4, rook g5, and these bad boys are gonna run all the way down the board. So this position is looking very, very nice for Shaq. He's still with rook d8, rook d7 though. He's got rook d8, rook d7. There's still probably rook b4. Actually, this I don't like. Now knight d4, bishop e8. Maybe still not so easy to play. But based on the match score, I think Shaq has to try to do something here. Obviously, bishop b5, knight d4. Knight d4. He's got knight f3, knight h2. This looks pretty drawish, I agree. I mean, you can take the pawn. You can also play rook d2. Plays f6. Yeah, I mean, now you have to play rook d2 and just make the draw. Like, now you don't even have a choice. Or, you can make the draw this way, too. Check. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Shaq missed this. He probably was winning in this game. Probably was winning. Wow, okay. This looks insane, though. King f8, rook a7? This is insane. What is Shaq doing? Maybe he's got knight h4? Just rook f... you can go king e8, though. No, rook e7! Or, is Wesley just going to make the draw here to be safe? Check. d2, rook d8. d2, rook d8. a5. g4, a6, g3. Messy. Okay, I don't think... He's got no time either, yeah. This is just going to be gross for... Takes. g6. Oh, he's got g... Oh, he misses it. So king f7. King f8, rook a6. Okay, rook g3. Shaq loses on time. Too slow. Thank you, Chessbait, for giving a sub to Distant Fire. Just too slow. Just way too slow. Just too slow. Way too slow by Shaq. Very unfortunate loss there, because he was in the driver's seat. But again, if he's gonna be losing these sorts of games in the 5+1, I mean the 3+1 is gonna get really ugly, I think. Yeah, so it's a 2-point lead for Wesley right now, so it's not a good start at all for Shaq. That's for sure. Bullet is going to be really ugly, I think. Let's change it up. So knight c3, bc3 is fine. Obviously, you can play e6, c6, or knight b6 here. Wesley deep in the tank here, thinking. Plays e6. I think queen f3 might be a move here. As is queen b3, or you just finish development with knight e2 or knight f3. Okay, now I think queen f3 and queen b3 are, again, both moves. You can also just play knight e2, knight g3. Obviously knight e2 and castles. c5 looks suspect because castles, knight c6, rook d1. White's gonna get a lot of quick play here with rook d1. So obviously knight d4. If knight e5, queen h5, or queen e2 both look very good. Oh, this is in pretty heavy rotation in the office on Friday afternoons. Yeah, I guess, yeah, Friday afternoon, everybody just wants to go home, right? So it makes sense. Okay, this, again, does not look right. Like, knight b3 and knight d5 looks strong. Knight f5, maybe? Feels slightly suspect. I would play knight b3 here for sure. I don't know what... Why is he thinking? Just knight b3, dude. Knight b3, hit the bishop, and take this pawn on d5 and create all kinds of threats. Good. No, knight e6 black just takes, and the thing you have to remember is white's down a pawn, or... No, sorry, white's not down a pawn here, but white's going to be up a pawn after knight takes d5. Now, by my clock, we've got 8:16, so I think the official clock is probably... I think the margin of error is less than a minute between this and the actual clock. I can check. Let me just check the act. Twitch.tv/chess. 1 second. Let me check it. Of course, I get hit with an ad, so I can't see it. But I think it's within 1 minute differential. So at 7:43 on the official clock. Oh, so it's not. So it's a 9-second differential. It's well within 1 minute. Okay, so basically, round. Okay, so 95 obviously here. So 7 minutes. So Shaq, I think, wants to win this game quickly. Maybe queen g3. Queen e2 also looks pretty standard here. Queen e4 maybe as well. But I like queen g3, knight g6, and just bishop g5. Because black's still lacking development. You can always get rid of one of these bishops. So queen g3 looks like a really nice move. Although maybe there's still knight g4, bishop e3, knight e3, knight e3. It's messy. So maybe just queen e2 is simplest. So probably just queen e2. Queen e2 makes a lot of sense here. I would play queen e2. Shaq is thinking way too long here. Way too long again. I mean, unless he wants to go queen c3 maybe to take g7. Queen c3 I guess is also possible, but queen c3, knight g4, queen g7, rook f8, or actually no, probably not takes. Probably black should take first, king h1, rook f8, and then like bishop g5. Maybe queen c3 is actually the best move. I think the more I look at it, I like queen c3 the most. Problem with this, I thought it was black as knight g4. After knight g4, I mean, if you have to play bishop e3, like you can't be better. Yeah, I think queen c3 was very, very strong there. Queen c3 looked very strong because now knight g4, you have nothing. Queen c3 was definitely the way to try to play for the win if you're going to do it. Now, I mean, now Wesley's just better, just better for black. Clearly better for black, actually. I mean, unless you can play bishop g5 here or something. I mean, bishop g5 is the only move that I can think of that that you can try to claim some advantage with, but it doesn't feel right. Although he does play it. I mean, maybe it works. Because the other problems here is, like, let's just say I play queen d6, knight f6, I can just take and I hit your queen now. So I don't think you play queen d6, but Knight f6 is not actually a real discovery anymore. So if takes king f1, I would assume is the move, and like queen c8 or something, or king h1. So, all right, king h1, queen e7. This was my point. After knight f6 takes, maybe there's bishop g4. This is why I thought king f1, weird as it was better, because you kept your eye on this bishop here on f2, where after takes you could always just take. With the king on h1, you can't take the bishop. So, okay, bishop g4 is one move here. I think it's the only move actually. Although bishop g4, maybe no, rook e1 takes bishop e6, bishop g7, rook g8, queen h7, castles. Very, very sharp position here. Very, very sharp. Wow, queen a4. Now that's takes and queen h7 and just resign. Or maybe it takes rook g8, queen h7, king e7. Very, very, but queen h7, king e7, queen h6 looks really, really bad. I mean, black's not castled here. So like queen h6 to play bishop f6 makes the most sense. I think with queen h6, maybe there's queen h4. Okay, knight d4, nice move actually. Knight d4 is a very nice move. Because you sort of cut off everything. And now if rook d8, maybe just rook d2. Also, you can maybe bring the queen back to e4 because you'll have like knight f5 tricks, winning the queen on a4. Knight d4 is a very nice move. Knight d4 is a very nice move. Maybe queen e4 here. Queen e4 looked like the move to me because knight f5 is a huge threat. You also hit the pawn on b7 as well. So queen e4 I think was very, very good for white. I don't like b3 here. Yeah, queen e4 looked amazing. I don't know why I didn't play queen e4 there. I still think white should be better here though, because you can always take on e6 too. Like, I guess you have to go queen a6 because if I take and you have to take, you're gonna get slaughtered. Like, your king is just so open, and there's no way to like run your king over to the queen side. Now queen e4 again looks good. Knight e6 actually is just winning, I think. Knight e6. If rook d1, king e6, just queen g8's game over. Plays queen e4 now, but oh, whoops, sorry. Let me change my playlist. But now you take on d4 and the thread. No, rook g4. Rook g4 was just winning for black. Bishop f6, king f6, queen takes b4, rook takes d1, check, and you win the piece. What is this? Why are these guys playing such terrible chess? Rook g4 is just winning for black. Rook g4 is just winning for black. What is wrong with these guys? That's why if you didn't do it with b3, you'd queen takes a4, and you protect the rook on d1 so black can't take. And if black takes your queen, then you take here. But with the queen on b4, it's not the same thing, and you're completely lost. Why are these guys playing such terrible chess? Now queen d4, rook d2, rook d1. White's completely dominating, by the way, because you can't stop mate. Okay, so Shaq wins, but I mean, rook g4, Wesley. Rook g4. What is Wesley doing? Rook g4 is just game over. Okay, so actually, but I see Wesley resigned. Maybe Wesley should have timed it out because I'm seeing 7 seconds left. So time is about to run out. Okay, time is out. So actually, why is the timer still running? Actually, I should stop that. Okay, so this is going to be the last game. Let me just reset this. Okay, so there's going to be a break after this. I am going to run to the restroom as well. So c3 knight d7, pretty standard kind of opening. White's got a nice center here. Yeah, I don't know why Wesley could have made sure that there weren't any more games. So I don't know if I like that. I guess Wesley is white, so I understand him forcing another game. But I mean, it is a little bit risky. Am I sure there's a break? Ha 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 ha. I'm laughing. Ha ha ha. Not. Okay, so f6 played. If bishop h4, g5, f5. You move the bishop, there might be f5, e4 or something. It takes. He's got this one. Oh, did Shaq just blunder? He did, because if you take. Wait, rook d4, rook f7, e6, and yeah, and white's winning. So obviously you have to go knight e5. If queen d8, there's knight f3. If knight e5, I assume you can just take and take. Now I don't like queen b3 because now black can go knight f7. I mean, white's still probably better with like bishop e3 and rook d1. But I probably would have just traded and forced an endgame just to calm the whole situation down. Although I guess here rook e7 is coming, so this might just be terrible for Shaq regardless. Like bishop f4, maybe there's g5, so maybe bishop e3, maybe rook e7 takes and rook d7. Ooh, that looks juicy. Rook e7 looks really nasty here. Yeah, rook e7. Ooh, really nasty. Yeah. Oy. Maybe you can go c5, c4. That's the only line that. But this is really ugly. White's rooks are so active here. Who's going to win this game? Well, I mean, if Shaq hadn't blundered de5, it would be very interesting. But Shaq blundered de5, and unfortunately for him, this is going to hurt him. Because if he had been able to keep it at 1, or let's say this game had ended in a draw, like you'd normally assume it would, and it was a 1-point differential, then it would still very much everything would be in play, and he'd have some momentum. But he's going to lose this game now, and it's like bishop e3, knight d4, knight e6, rook d7. The whole king side is an absolute disaster here for black, so this is just over after bishop e3. Plays rook d5. Oh, rook d5. Ooh, rook d. Yeah, I mean, this also works as queen b1. You have rook e1. Queen g4, h3. This is just disaster. Disaster town for Shaq. And Shaq just resigns. I mean, he just blundered de5. So on that note, you guys, I think there is now a break. So it's 6-4 after the 5-minute portion. So Wesley's right where he wants to be. I think even if, as long as he's not down after 5 when he's a favorite, but up by 2 points, it's going to be very hard for Shakhriar. So we are going to take a short break, but we will be back in a couple of minutes to resume our live commentary of this Speed Chess Championship match on chess.com between Wesley So and Shakhriar Mamedyarov. So I will be right back. All right, you guys, and so we are back for the next portion of for the between in the speech chess championship match between Wesley So and Shakhriar Mamedyarov. I think it's a 7-minute break based on what I remember. So it's definitely a longer break for sure. But anyway, we are here. We are here, and we'll just chill out for the next couple of minutes while we wait for the next portion, the 3+1, to start. So at the moment, obviously, Wesley is a huge favorite. He's up by 2 points, 6-4. Definitely, the quicker it gets, the better it is for him. A little bit lucky because he should have lost the first 2 games, but nonetheless, that's how it goes. Obviously, just getting warmed up, weird things can happen. But as of right now, Wesley definitely is a big favorite. If Shaq is able to crack his QGD, this knight BD7 line that he's playing now, then it's going to be game on again. But at the moment, all signs point to Wesley winning this match pretty comfortably. Thank you, DVP. Tried a game for the 100 bits. Knock for president. Yeah, I mean, definitely not considering anything of that nature at the moment. Obviously, I'm also not old enough constitutionally to run for president, but not something that I'm thinking about at the moment. Thank you for the bits, though, and thank you for the dream. Much appreciated. What is my prediction for Ali Reza Firouzja against Levon Aronian? I think Ali Reza is going to find a way to win. That's my guess. Pator 4 cases will come back in a few years. Imagine Hikaru at the UN table making his calculation faces. I did do model UN when I was at college, so I did do that. So you know, it is interesting, even if it's just for fun. You know, drafting resolutions, of course, is quite different. It's a good experience, certainly. Yeah. So model UN is insane. Why is it insane? It's insane for which reason? Because it's not realistic. Because well, for which reason is it insane? Heartstar says it adds so much work to a school schedule. Yeah. Anyway, it's something to do. It's interesting. Went to Model UN. We did. I think there was a Model UN conference at, I believe it was Georgetown, if I remember when I was at college. So that was certainly a lot of fun, and I did enjoy it quite a bit. So, what do I think of Maxime Vachier-Lagrave? Um, and I didn't actually look at the game today. I know Shaq, or not Shaq. Sorry, I know. Uh, Thank you to Mr. Chris Wainscott for the 11-month resub. Thank you so much. Happy Wednesday, broski. It's a great Wednesday, isn't it? Looking at the SPY, fantastic Wednesday. Anyway, I should not be muted. Am I muted? I don't think I'm muted. No, okay. Okay, cool. Anyway, Coolio cool. I think when we did Model UN, I think it was actually, if I remember correctly, the resolution that I was involved with, I think the resolution that I was involved with, if I remember correctly, it was actually an arms resolution. I think it was something specific to arms. Maybe I have the paper somewhere. back in New York. But it was something related to arms, I believe. I think it was an arms resolution. Disarmament, as I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, I think it was an arms resolution if I remember correctly. Um, that being said, yeah, each human can have 3 arms. Indeed, indeed, you guys are funny. My major, if I'd stayed in school, would have been political science. Fortunately, I became a chess player instead because politics is just so messed up. It doesn't matter what side you're on; it's just such a disaster at the moment. But yeah, it was political science. Luckily, I decided to play chess instead. So I think we're going to be starting in 1 second. Chess-based says, I thought you were a modern dance major. No, I mean I took a modern dance course in college, but yeah. Where's the 3+1? Again, I think the difference in past years, it was a short break. It was a short break in past years. Now I think it's a 7-minute break. So it's a much longer break between the segments than it used to be. Waiting for a dance room where I do like the choreography, you know, like the modern dance movements. I'm not probably the modern dances. It wasn't like, if you're doing like pop locking or something like something hip and cool, that's one thing. Modern dance is just like it's much closer to ballet than anything else, honestly. I wouldn't mind doing some pop locking. I'm a big fan of Hilti and Bosch. Those of you who are into pop and lock, the Japanese duo, they're freaking amazing. Uh, there probably aren't many people who know who I'm referring to because I have a feeling not many people in my chat are like dance types. But pop and lock is like something that I would have loved to have like tried had I like had time or stayed in school or there was a course or something. But all right, so we are starting here, so let's get going. Here we go. Okay, next segment starts. D4 knight f6 played. Actually, let me edit my timer because unfortunately with the timers, it's let me get rid of the minus. Oops, let me move this. There we go. One second. Okay, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, so D4 knight 6 C4 E6 knight 3 Nimzo Indian. I think I had this as white against Vladimir Kramnik in well, I don't even remember. It's like 2012 in Dortmund, I think it was. White gets 2 bishops, but he's got a slightly compromised pawn structure here. So white gets 2 bishops, compromised pawn structure, but you've got the diagonals. I like the choice by Shakhriar in this game. It's a good way to start the 3+1. A little bit uncomfortable to play as black as well, so as white you can rattle off a lot of quick moves. Definitely I like this. Yeah, Pop and Lock, Hilti and Bosch is the Japanese duo that I'm a big fan of them. Everything they do is just sick. Really, really amazing. I mean sick in a good way, obviously. So obviously rook e8 here. Maybe bishop d5, maybe queen d5. This knight is really good on c4. Black can get like b6, bishop b7, or bishop e6, rook c8, and just put pressure on the c file, and black's just better. The stream keeps freezing for me. That might be your internet connection then. Might be your internet connection. So queen c2 is played, queen c7. So black really wants to play b6 and bishop b7. f4. b6, bishop f2. I think Wesley's out. I think Wesley's better now again. I think b6, bishop b7 to try and counteract this bishop on g2. And I think black's just clearly better. This I don't know. This is probably good too. But now you activate the rook and you give the bishop some scope here. White also gets rook f1, so I don't know if I like ef4. I thought b6 was just very, very nice for black. Although maybe there was queen e4 now that I think about it. Maybe there was queen e4 that I was missing. So maybe it wasn't quite as easy as I thought it was. So bishop e6 played. I would assume rook f1 here and try to play knight d4. You got to be careful because this knight is going to e3 at some point if you don't keep this light square bishop on. So he goes bishop f2, knight d4 is the idea. Eddie Barber says, so stoked that Timur won today. This way, Hansen has to get up one more time at 3 a.m. But I thought they had to play 4 games. Was today game 3 or game 4? Maybe today was only game 3. I don't know. Anyway, knight e5 played, knight c5. Should be fine for black. Maybe just like knight g6. That's reasonable. White's probably going to take and get the 2 bishops here. Or play rook a4. I feel like Wesley's done something a little bit wrong here. Because this knight is really nice on c5. This knight went from c4, a great square, just to g6, which fills passes. The bishops have great scope on the diagonal. The king here for white is very safe, of course, as well. So I kind of like the position here for Shakhriar. Like knight e6 and rook d1 looks good. He'll play rook e8, obviously, and then like rook e4 maybe. Probably a6 or b6. Again, not crazy about this position for black. Black is obviously fine here. White's got a weak c3 pawn. But long term, the bishops are going to be much better than the knights. So black has to be careful and has to be precise here. Like, I was going to say bishop f3, but then you've got knight e5. Maybe bishop e4. Actually, bishop e4, rook d2, though. So plays h3 just to create look for the king. Rook d1, maybe bishop f1 because you can't take, because then you hang the rook. If rook d2, you go queen e4, and then again, it feels like white should be better long term. At some point, maybe you want to just grab a pawn on a7. Problem here, really, a problem for white is this rook. If you could have it like on the b or the d file, it would be good. This rook on a4 though is a little bit out of play because it's only a pawn on a7. But I think you should probably take the pawn on a7 here. He doesn't. Now, of course, you should play a6. Maybe rook a3, rook b3 is an idea, or rook a3 with c4 and rook d3. Queen e7, good move. Very nice move by Wesley. Very precise. Takes bishop f3, knight e5. It's getting tricky here. So now knight e5, bishop b7, rook e2. Maybe still you have king g1. Still not so easy for black to play, but I think black should be okay. So obviously you have to take rook e2, king g1. If knight d3, you have bishop a6. You also can maybe play bishop d4 as well. Okay, so knight f5. I would assume you take with the rook because there might be some knight f3 nastiness coming in here. How's it going, Decau? Good to see Decau in the chat. How you doing, Decau? Plays rook a5. Idea is to play bishop a6, and this rook can't go off the file because it defends the knight. f6, logical. Maybe g4 to kick the knight out because you're still controlling key squares here. Like, but now I think you have to play bishop a6. Plays bishop e4. Okay, I guess he wants bishop d5 and rook a6 next move. Knight c4. Okay, this is getting dangerous for black next. You've got like bishop e4 at some point. You just have to be careful that these knights don't like start hopping all over the board. So I assume king e2 here. Yeah, king e2. This is king d1. Or no, king d1, then there's check. There's going to be some nastiness. Maybe king e1. There's no mate here. Knight d3, king b1. Check, check, king b3, king a1. d2. Oh, wow, there's no mate here. Oh, but black can force a draw. Shaq went wrong. I think King E1 was winning. I think King E1 was maybe I felt like King E1 maybe instead of King C1 was winning. I thought here after King C1, I thought King D1, Rook D2, King E1 was actually winning for white. I think King D1 was just cleanly winning for white, probably. Yeah, King E1 was winning. He should have gone King E1 instead of King D1. King E1 was winning. But again, the problem is that in general, Shaq is just not as quick or as used to moving fast in these situations. So he's not able to react as much. Big miss by Shaq, because I feel like at this point every game is very critical for Shaq, and if he doesn't close it, eventually he's going to lose some games. So if he doesn't close the gap, sooner or later something bad's going to happen, and it's time is ticking for Shaq at this point. So knight f3. Shaq is over the board. He's definitely better over the board than online. I thought King E1, Knight E3, King F1 was winning. Rook D1, King E2, Rook E2, King F3, Knight E1, King G4, and I thought it was winning for white, or King F4 maybe. It looked like it was winning to me, but anyway, they play another game, Queen B3 here. This is a mistake by Shaq. Queen B3, obviously. Because with E3 instead of D4 here, there are issues due to the extra development of the bishop. He plays it this way, so obviously you have to go back bishop C8 here. D4, E6. So now you get like bishop D3, knight E5, F4 castles, and rook F3. You can also play bishop D2, knight E5 with rook C1. Don't like bishop D3. I thought knight E5 first was better. But he's going to do a very classic rook C1, maybe knight A4, and maybe knight E5. Very, very classic. Classic dry play by Wesley in this position. Very one-way too. It's going to be hard for Shaq to create counterplay. Now knight E5 and F4, and white's just getting everything you could ask for in the world. This is going to be, I don't really see how Shaq is going to survive this. F4. Guess he's going to try bishop C5. There's knight E5. Whoa! Thank you to Decal for the 100 gifted subs. Thank you so much to Decal for the 100 gifted subs. Let's get the sub party going in here, y'all. Thank you so much once again to Decal, the one and only, for the 100 gifted subs. Longtime supporter of many different streams. Thank you so much for the 100 gifted subs. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so he does go bishop c5, knight d5. He's going to go b6 to try and just mess this up. I think Shaq has decided that he doesn't want to play some cramped positional game. He really wants to take some risk and create something. So that's why he's playing bishop c5 here. Probably doesn't work, but it's a reasonable way to try and make it messy. Thank you, Decal. Glad to see you back. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Biting per sex. Wow, no, I'm not a pleb. Indeed, indeed. Mojo Bone says now Hikaru doesn't have to go to Walmart, get Walmart hamburgers, get the Great Value 4-pack for like $3 or something. Yeah. Zeldaska says, why do I get Armani ads when I open the stream? I don't know. I mean, I would expect Armani ads from like Eric or something, because I know Eric is one of those guys who, for whatever reason, likes Armani clothing. I think he has like an Armani Exchange t-shirt or something. I don't own anything from Armani Exchange. I'm not that kind of a guy. But it's pretty funny. Okay, so he's trying to play bishop d4, knight c3. This knight is awful on h6. If you can do something on the diagonal, though, there will be some chances. But I feel like Wesley here, he's up by 2 points. He's just going to try to play a lot of slow games where the time gets slow, and then just grind Shaq in the time scrambles. Ponzi Scheme says instead you have BBB clothing. I did not buy that Big Baller Brand t-shirt. One of my subs to the channel actually bought that t-shirt for me. He knows who he is. Gucci, I mean, I'm just not a big fashion designer kind of guy. Like, what can I say? Just like, just not a big. I'm not like a fashionista or something like that. That's just not me. Gucci, Gucci, Gucci. Do I have a favorite suit brand? No, I mean, I think I had two or three suits from Hugo Boss back in the day. But like I think my recent suits, they're just from Joseph A. Bank, so it's just like a 3-for-1 deal, so no issue. Knight f5, white can just take and go bishop d4, and Mamma Mia, black can never win. You've got a bad bishop. I mean, this is just gross for black. Black can probably still draw this, but this is definitely not what Shaq wants, because there's no chance to win. Just queen d2, knight e3, and g4 f5 is coming. Rook c1. Knight e3. Now bishop e6 g4 is really unpleasant. Thank you, The Last Samurai, for the 8 months. Much appreciated. Now you have to play like, oh man, he's gonna do this. f5. Oh, I mean, knight d5. I guess he's knight d5, queen d8, f6. Oi 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 oi. Oi oi oi. f6. Oi oi oi. Oi oi oi. This is just game over instantly. Knight e7, fg7, queen g5, queen f6. Knight e7, of course. I mean, takes knight f6 even is everything is crushing for white here. Yeah, it finds knight e7, unsurprisingly. Because now if you play g6, I can even play queen h6. It's just so gross for black here. So he just takes. Is there really no mate here? Takes. Rook f7. No, queen f6 is. Wait, queen f6 bishop. Oh yeah, just queen g8, queen f7's mate. That's another one. There had to be a mate there. Not surprising. So it's up to a 3-game lead for Wesley. I have a feeling this match is probably going to start to get out of hand pretty soon now. So pretty soon, a3. Ha! Wesley plays back with h6. I don't know about that, actually. I don't know if I like h6 there. We're going to have some kind of weird, like, Spanish, or he's going to play it. Oh, it's just going to. This might actually turn into a real Italian, because a3 and h6 are moves that actually help both sides here. Although now it's bishop c5, b4, I think is going to happen. So okay, pretty normal. Actually, I think Wesley and Shaq had a game like this in the rapid portion of the Grand Chess Tour and the Sinkfield Cup, maybe this year or last year. They had this position with the pawns on a2 and h7, not a3 and h6. So I don't know if it makes a huge difference. I would assume, if anything, h6 should benefit black, just because this is more of an idea than you ever playing b4. So I think this should benefit black. Just a guess, not sure. Obviously, you have to play g4 at some point. But again, the problem is, I think when you play g4, d3, black can always play f5, because the whole point is the pawns on h7, a2, you have knight g5 ideas. So this inclusion of a3 and h6 should help black significantly more than it helps white. I don't know why Wesley's thinking. Obviously, bishop g6 here. So f5 played, but I think you can take fg4. Wait, what? What is Wesley doing? Maybe he's gonna take and play e4, but then d3, ef3, queen f3, and white's just up a pawn. He's just gonna play e4, but I think after d3, white's just gonna be up a pawn here. So it's kind of like a quasi blunder. It's a blunder, but it's not a blunder that necessarily that loses the game on the spot. But now d3, and white's just gonna be up a pawn. Queen f3, and these, even though it looks like white's king is open, the bishop covers g5 and the queen covers these squares. And after like queen h4, the pawn at h3 is fine because it stops queen g4. You have no rook g6 either because this pawn covers g6, so white is just much better here. You can even go bishop d2 and bishop d2, bishop c3 at some point. Probably I would play c3 to close the diagonal here. Although bishop d2 seems reasonable to go bishop c3, and if queen b2, queen b2, then you can play queen c6 with bishop c3 anyway. So I would play bishop d2 here, I think. Comeback is possible, but I think Shaq has to win this game. If he doesn't win this game, I don't see him coming back. So he's gonna have another black game after this, and he's gonna be suffering again with black. He's not been getting good positions with black. So let's play d4, b4, stop c5. No c5 because takes his queen d5. If b4, I think he wants rook b5 and queen h4. And I'm already starting to not like what Shaq is doing again. I think after queen f6, bishop d2 was an important move to stop all this nonsense. Cause now it's getting ugly again. There's gonna be queen h4 and rook h5, and I think Wesley might just win this game actually now. Like queen h4 and rook h5. There's always rook g5 and queen f5 and rook h5. Really, if king h2, you run into rook g3, which would be really unfortunate. Maybe you can go king h1 and rook g1, but I don't like this at all. So rook h5, you play rook g4 and rook g1, but it feels like the tide is turning a bit. There might be rook g3 here too. Rook g3, fg, takes, fg, bishop g3, which looks fine. He does play rook h5, rook g4, of course. Maybe just queen d5 here. Actually, queen d5 looks very good for black. Yeah. I have a feeling this is going to get out of hand very fast here. I don't see how Shaq is... King g2, f3 is bad. If f3, just rook h3, rook h5. Yeah, this is over. I have a feeling... Yeah, like g5 is playable, f3. Maybe just rook e8 to take the e file even. Poor Shaq. Now you have to play f3, I think, because you really want to go king g2 and get out of the pin. Maybe you can play rook e1 first. Why is Shaq not playing better? I think Shaq is starting to tilt a little bit. Why is Shaq getting smashed badly? He's not getting smashed badly. Shaq's problem has been that he's Shaq has been way too slow in the time scrambles, and the time scrambles are what have cost him. The first two games he wasn't quite sharp enough. He just made a few mistakes getting into the flow. But the reason he's been losing the last couple of games is because he hasn't reacted well in the time scrambles. Okay, rook g4. Just okay. H5 maybe isn't. I'm a little bit worried here that there's gonna be like some h5, rook g5, rook e8, rook e2 or something. Like king g2, he's gonna try to go king f2, I guess. So takes king g6. Maybe rook e1 here and rook e1, rook e2, and bishop e1, and you control both files, but you can't ever win, which is the other problem. So, like king f5 here. Now black's gonna get rook g8. Yeah, I mean, whoa! Wesley just hung a pawn. What? What is a4? Oh my gosh! What is wrong with these guys today? Man, we're seeing... What are these guys smoking? Maybe he wants bishop e1, I think. He wants bishop e1, bishop h4. Plays a5. I mean, this is obviously just going to be... This is, technically speaking, a draw here. Now, he gets what he wants with bishop h4, but... Okay, you got to go rook h1. Try to put the bishop on f2 where it controls all the key squares. But I just don't see any way for white to win here. Plays bishop d2, king f2, of course. I mean, he's trying to get him to play king g5. He's not going to bite. Rook g1! Rook g1! Oh! Rook g1! What is wrong with these guys? Ugh. Rook h1. I mean, this is going to be a draw now. Rook h2. Try to take the pawn. Take the pawn. Thank you, Chessbait, for giving a sub to CJ the Viking. I mean, this is just a draw, obviously. I mean, I don't even know what to say. All I can say is that Shaq is not. There has been no shortage of. There's been no shortage of chances for Shaq in this match. Wesley's made quite a few of these really bad blunders. That Shaq somehow he missed h5 and rook g1 in that game. Missed both of them. They had 4 seconds. 4 seconds is an eternity, and they're both 2800 GMs. Like, you should see that. With 4 seconds, you should see it. It wasn't even a pre-move. That's the thing. It wasn't even a pre-move. Okay, so we've got more of this this sort of like Grunfeld, English Grunfeld position. Yeah, I'm really surprised by Wesley, because Wesley, I mean, I mean, I wouldn't say he's as strong as like Ali Reza and Blitz, but he's a top class player for sure. So to see him making some of these blunders is really surprising. I mean, Shaq not capitalizing, I get it. Shaq doesn't play a lot of online chess, it happens. But for Wesley to be making these blunders is very surprising, because I do consider Wesley to be he is one of those guys in that top class of Blitz players. So obviously bishop e2, I would assume here. I don't see anything else unless you're going to try to play h5. Doesn't really make sense. So bishop e6, queen a3, maybe rook fc8 makes sense. He plays queen c2. I thought queen a3 was better. You can't really take, but I assume you can play like a5, a4 maybe. I like a5, a4 and then plop a knight on c4. Wesley wants to go queen d2 and create some kind of threats with h5 if he can. Wow, he plays e5. So he definitely is he wants to sack. He wants to sack and go queen h7 and h6. So I'm wondering here about maybe something like c4 and bishop f5. A, to close down this diagonal, and then B, to stop all this h5 nonsense. The other way you could play this is you could also say, I don't care, play a4, h5, g5, bishop g5, and say, I'm going to take here and attack you on the queen side. So there are two ways of playing this. You can either just ignore this, or you can do something radical to try and prevent it. Will I be commentating on Ali Reza versus Levon 2? Is that the early match or the late match tomorrow? I'm not sure which one that is. Is that the early match or the late match, you guys? I know there are 2 matches tomorrow, I think. I assume that's the early match, right? It's the early match. What time does it start? Does it start same time as today, noon? Does it start? It probably starts at noon, I'm guessing. Now, knight d5 is a terrible move, because again, the knight does nothing. White's just going h5 and going to sack. White's ideas are still very much intact. I guess the point is h5, bishop f5, bishop d3. He wants knight. Oh, he blundered it. Bishop f5. He blundered knight b4. Okay, he goes queen a4. I feel like there should be some trick, like knight b4 and bishop c2. Feels a little bit iffy here for white. Or just g5 right away, because now the sacks don't really do anything for white. He plays knight b4, so hg6, bishop c takes, okay. Tricky position here, because if bishop a6 you have rook d1, you can't take because then you hang the bishop. If you take with the queen, you hang knight a2 and makes. The bishop covers b1. And if you take with the bishop, there's going to be all kinds of trouble with knight d3. You can't take with the king because of bishop c2, which then hits the queen and the king. So it's tricky. So he plays e6, trying to just mess it up even more. Queen c6. So now if takes, you get mated. So king f8, obviously. You can't take, so checkmate. Very nice tactic here by Shaq, by the way. b3. This looks... Shaq, if he plays this correctly, has to be winning here somehow. Like, you can take, and... Oh, you've got... Oh, queen e4 actually is just simple. Just game over. Easy peasy. Do you enjoy cycling? If so, yes. What was your longest ride? I used to cycle in the old days. I think my longest amount that I biked was about 100 miles. I biked 100 miles on 2 different occasions through the woods and up near Westchester, up in Westchester County, New York. I did that 2 different times, but usually, I mean, the max I would bike would be like 20-25 miles. Okay, so Shaq has given up on playing theory. He's just playing all random stuff. Yes, in one day. Yes, all in one day. Yeah. So clearly Shaq is done with playing normal openings. He's just in like fun mood now. He's going to try and just play randomness and create some messy positions. See, I'm not that wise. Says Westchester, Craigasm, represent. Yes, I did grow up in Westchester County. Update the score. Update the score. I'm actually not doing that myself, so that's not on me. It should be automatically updating, in fact. Probably bishop a2 here to avoid d5 ideas hitting the bishop. Zeldaska says Hikaru always has these fancy setups. Do you mean fancy setups is in my layout, or do you mean layout, or do you mean my the setup in these chess positions? This is what? This is Bitter, right? This is Bitter Symphony or something? This is Bitter Symphony, I think, by Verve. JMC says, hi, Hikaru from France. Bonjour. Bonjour, monsieur. Comment ça va? Okay, so bishop f4, h6, queen d2, king h7 played. I forgot to twist my earbuds. Good one. Okay, knight b5 hits the pawn on d6. Maybe the pawn on a7 after knight e8. I guess the idea is to play c4 here to expand the structure and prevent d5. Maybe you can... No, sack takes knight e8 is just kind of insane. Plays bishop g3, just retreating move. Bishop on a better square, maybe f4. Sort of just waiting to see what black's going to do here. Plays a6. Knight d6 was interesting there, potentially, but he doesn't go for it. He plays knight c. I actually think... Oh, knight d6, b5 is back, so there's knight e4. Okay, so a6, knight 3, b5. Black's expanding. At some point, white has to do something here with this queen side. Maybe knight d1, knight e3 is an idea, and then f4, f5. Probably I would play knight d1, knight e3, f4, f5. This makes a lot of sense. Probably knight e3 here, maybe f4. I don't like the bishop on g3. It probably should have been on h2. Because now there's always going to be some tempo with knight h5 at the right moment. Okay, c4, good move. You can't take because then you hang e4. And now black's going to go d5, and this bishop on a2 is going to be looking very sad soon. So takes... I mean... Okay, so he's going to take knight e5, and he's going to play queen e2. Black can maybe just take and ignore it and play d5, which also looks very attractive. So he takes, so knight c4, obviously just d5, knight e3. Black has 2 bishops. White's structure is not exactly what you would call pretty. I thought knight e5 and d4 just crushing for black. I mean, queen h4 is probably also good, but knight e5 and d4 looked close to winning, I think. So I don't really like this queen h4, although black is still doing extremely well. So b5, so knight e5. He takes. Still good, but I feel like Wesley, if he just be a little, has a little more killer instinct, knight e5 and d4 again looked extremely attractive. Again, maybe d4, maybe f5, f4, f3. Ooh, that looks pretty savage. I like f5. He doesn't do it. f5, f4, f3 just look crushing for black. Again, f5. Although now there's maybe rook b4. So, okay, rook c3. Ouch. Rook a3. Yeah, this is just terrible for white. f5 for the crush. f5. f5. Okay, plays rook a7. I mean, I guess black's up a pawn, so it doesn't really matter, but okay, like so knight e2, so probably just knight b3. I mean, it looks like Wesley's trying to just be conservative here and take the risk out of position. Everything is good though, so he's just up clean pawn. But again, not super easy to win now because like you're still up a pawn, but the bishop on b3 is very nice, and I can play like rook d6 or something. Okay, now he goes d4 to activate the bishop. Probably e5. Maybe queen f5, queen f4. d3, bishop e4. Okay, plays rook c3, good enough. Everything's probably good enough at this point, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, gf3, bishop e5, queen e2. Okay, plays rook c5. I mean, rook g5 and bishop e5 looks win. Okay, does it this way. I thought rook g5 first was better. Rook d3. Thank you, Schrodinger's cat, for the 7 months. I think you can just move the bishop and go rook g5 again. He doesn't do it that way. Now it gives him queen g3. It's still obviously winning for black, but probably f4. No, he doesn't do it. Okay, again, Wesley's technique has been a little bit strange throughout this match, I must say. Like queen. Oh no, now you can't go queen g3. It's completely winning, but I feel like Wesley is missing the instant wins. This should be winning with the 4v2 here. Probably bishop a4. Oh, this is tricky. This might not be winning. Like, you can just kind of wait, but I think black should be able to bring the king around. Should be winning. Bishop e8, maybe? Doesn't play bishop e8. This is not easy to win now. I'm not sure this is actually winning for black anymore. Could you take? You have to take. And bishop e8? Oh my gosh, Wesley just blundered this. I mean, I'm aghast. Just king f1 and bishop e2. King f1 and bishop e2. I mean, wow, this is horrendous. I can't believe what I'm seeing here from Wesley. You go like bishop e8, bishop c6, and black can't win. I have no words. I mean, I have no words to bishop c6, obviously. Okay, h6, h7, like, and bishop g6 or bishop c6. Either one just draws. Bishop d7. You just keep waiting. Bishop b7. Oh, this works too, actually. Yeah, just king g4 or king g2. I mean, I have no words. I really have no words to. I'm speechless. I can't believe Wesley blew this game. I literally can't believe that Wesley blew this game. And you just keep waiting. You just keep waiting. This works. I mean, I'm speechless. I'm really just speechless. I have no words to say for this game. That was absolutely appalling by Wesley. Absolutely appalling. Because by doing that, it's still 2 games. If Wesley loses a game here or there, like it's suddenly back to 1 game. It's not over yet. I mean, he should have just won that. He wins that game cleanly. Bishop d6, rook g5, killer mode, game over. He's up 3 games, and it's all over. And it's all over. Just it's pretty much all over. Instead, there's work to be done still. Wesley can't be happy with that game. I mean, there's no way that's unacceptable. So this is a very topical line of the Grunfeld. That was not very brilliant. Yeah, that was not good. That was not good at all. But you really, when you get positions like that, you don't convert. It's like it's just going to take one. Like if Shaq's able to play a great game here with this and find some tactics in this position and win, it's back to 1 game. And it's like just when you thought it was all over, it's not over at all. So Wesley's got to be careful here. He does have to be careful in this game specifically because this is exactly what Shaq wants with Black. It's something super sharp. I don't know why Wesley played f3. I would have expected something more conservative and calm to try and just slow it down after the last game because now does something wrong here, he's going to lose and it's going to be a 1-game lead. So I don't like the opening choice by Wesley, even if objectively it's good for white. Like I feel like there's going to be some sack coming down the pipe on c3. Thank you, Doc Holiday, for the sub with Twitch Prime. Thank you so much. Can I explain the format, you guys? So the format is it's overall match score. Now, if you look on the screen, you'll see that Wesley won the 5+1 portion, 6-4, and right now they're playing the 3+1 portion. It's 2.5, 2.5, and after the 3.5 portion, there's a 1+1. So the 5+1 section was 90 minutes. The 3+1 section is 60 minutes. You see the timer. We've got about 20 minutes left in the 3+1, and then it's half hour of 1+1. So it's 90, 60, 30 for a total of 3 hours. Total of 3 hours, and whoever has the most points wins. So we've got more moves here. Queen e8, knight f3, rook f7, bishop d3 played. Bishop e6. Shaq used a long time on rook f7. I have a feeling there was a sack on c3 here. Like rook c3 and knight a4 looked very interesting. Maybe it was just bad because of bishop c4 and there's some rook h7 with rook h1, but he used a lot of time on rook f7. And the game goes on here, plays bishop e6. I guess idea knight a4 still keeps these bishop c3 ideas in play. I would expect rook c1 here to support the knight. There might be bishop b5 as well. Very sharp position. But considering that Shaq is down 2 points in the match, this is exactly what he wants. Okay, e5 also logical. Just close the diagonal. There might be knight a4 now. You could always just take probably as well. 5+1 means it's 5 minutes with a 1 second increment. 3+1 means 3 minutes with 1 second increment for every move, meaning you gain time. So you gain 1 second for every single move you play. You start with 5 minutes in the first portion, then 3 minutes, and then 1 minute. So you just gain 1 second per move in all 3 of the formats. So he plays queen d7. This looks good for Wesley now, though. Without the dark square bishop, even though white's queenside pawns are compromised, he's got 2 bishops and very passed pawn, and his king is relatively safe here. So I think the worst is over for Wesley now. Just bishop c4 and rook e7 is interesting. You could takes rook c4, queen e2 looks very bad for black. Actually, queen e2 right away. Wait, but bishop g4? Bishop g4? Bishop g4? What does white do? Bishop g4? Oh, he finds it? Okay, I was about to like lose my mind. Wesley just blundered bishop g4 completely for no particular reason. Now queen e4, I even play knight d6 hitting your queen and you still lose the exchange. Oy, Gewalt. What a blunder by Wesley here. Although maybe you can take and take on f7. Actually, maybe it's still good for white. I think takes and bishop f7 and rook e2 is still very strong for white. This doesn't look right. Knight takes d6. Wesley's just completely lost. Knight d6 because if bishop g6 takes, queen g6, rook g7. Game over. And just like that, because Wesley doesn't take on c4, he's just busted. Bishop c4, bishop. I can't make moves on the board, but bishop c4 and white can't lose. Maybe white's not winning, but white can't lose that with the passed pawn and the strong bishop. Ooh dear. Now maybe king g7 is good. Maybe you can even play like queen c7. Black's definitely. Oh, queen g4. Queen g4 is just game over. Queen g4, game over. I think. Or no, maybe queen g4, rook d6 takes bishop d5. White's still in the game. If rook f1, bishop c1, queen f4, that is winning for black. That's winning. Plays king h8. I don't like king h8. I'm worried about checks now with like queen d2. Although queen d2 you just take because the bishop's hanging. But like bishop e3 and bishop d4 looks quite dangerous. I don't like king h8 here. Don't like it at all. Maybe you can play queen e6 here. Queen e6 I think is forced. But now bishop d4. Ay, ay, ay. Bishop d5. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Knight f5. Okay. Plays bishop a7. Now king g7 I think is forced. Just king g7. Force white to take. Problem is white's going to get g4 here. White's got g4. That's why I needed h5 to stop this, because now it's a problem. Though if you can get the knight to c6 and stop this bishop from getting on diagonal, it's still unclear. Queen c4 here? Queen c4? Or, yeah, queen c4? No, now rook f1. Rook d7, rook e8. Okay, knight c6, obviously. Okay, plays, or knight d5. Ah, knight d5 is tricky. You hit the pawn on c3, but Shaq's got no time here. He's just got no time. h5 maybe, or rook c2, rook e4, okay. Rook g4. You gotta move, gotta move, gotta move. Takes, gotta move. Gotta move, Shaq, gotta move. Knight e7, knight e7, knight e7. Just too slow. Knight e7, just knight e7 and rook a5 check. Yeah, Shaq's just not, he's just not good enough in the time scrambles because he doesn't have the online experience. It's pretty clear. Very, very clear. He doesn't have the experience online, so it's just costing him. Yeah, 5 plus 2 and 3 plus 2, that's true. Yeah, if this is 5 plus 2, you're right. Wesley would not be winning this match if it was 5 plus 2 or 3 plus 2. But yeah, Bullet, I mean, man, Bullet is going to be really ugly. Really, really ugly, I think. I am surprised though that the lead has not gotten bigger for Wesley in the 3. I mean, it's gone from +2 to +3, but I thought this match would maybe be like my match against Dobrov, where the 3 plus 1 would be where it gets out of control. This is terrible for Wesley. Now a3 h6 inclusion is a huge benefit to white because it stops bishop b4. Plays knight b6, maybe knight e5. I really thought that Wesley would start to rack it up in the 3 plus 1. Knight b5 looks like it's just winning. I mean, I don't really know what to make of this match. It feels like I don't really know what to make of this match. This is just a very strange match because this game's already over. It's just losing for Wesley on the spot. If bishop d6 just e5 is game over. I mean, I don't understand anything. Shaq is using a trackball. I assume that's a joke, but I mean, bishop e5 is good. Everything is just great. Everything here is good for white. d5 actually is probably very good too, but d5, knight h5, bishop e3, if knight e4, e6. I'm probably cheering for Shaq because I feel like Shaq is playing the better chess overall. I almost always root for whoever is playing better chess, and Shaq is definitely playing better chess. He's just not responding well in the time scrambles when they both have like 5 seconds or less. So he takes with the knight. Okay. So if a6, maybe there's knight f7 and bishop c7, or you can even just go back to c3, just be quiet and calm. This is obviously just terrible for black. Bishop d6, I think you can just take a pawn here probably. Knight f7, no, then just king f7, e5, rook e8 is fine for black. So probably you just take the bishop and then take on c4. Again, I don't know why Shaq is thinking so long here. It's not a hard decision. You've got one good move here. Come on, Shaq, just play knight takes d6. Stop wasting 30 seconds on this move. I mean, why is he thinking for 30 seconds? It's like the only move. Okay, he takes, you just take back, obviously. Or maybe you have queen a4 check. But that doesn't do anything. Yeah, just takes. He'll take on e4, obviously. Somehow, though, this was... I'm sure this was at least like +2 here. And now it's like barely better for white. Barely better for white. White's slightly better with the 2 bishops, but definitely nothing to write home about. Okay, obviously bishop f1 or d3. Probably d3 makes more sense. I think you have to play something like f3 here to try and win. Or you can take and maybe play b4. Idea to play d5, d6, but it's going to be hard to win. So he plays f3. I think he's going to gambit the pawn on d4 most likely. He's going to gambit one of these 2 pawns. I don't know which one he's... Okay, knight d6 makes no sense at all. I thought you should just go knight f6 because now you can't win a pawn even because I take the knight. Okay, this I don't understand at all. Now queen d2. Idea bishop h6. This looks great for white again. Because now you can play knight c4, but I just take and I get d5, d6 past d pawn. Should be pretty good for white. Bishop h6 is begging to be played here. Isn't bishop h6 just winning? Bishop takes h6, game over? Okay, he sees it. Ah, no, he's got knight f5. Ah, because the queen's protected. I actually missed that in my calcs. But still, queen g5. Okay, queen h5. Still very tricky for black. Of course, Shaq is also low on time again. Okay, obviously takes, queen f5, queen d4. I think this is going to be a draw, though, which is complete. Rook d1, rook d1. Rook d1. He's got rook d1, maybe. Or check first. Gotta go, though. He's just moving too slowly. Queen h6, of course. And like rook b1, rook b4, maybe. You gotta push a pawn to create luft. h3. Gotta go, Shaq. Gotta go. Rook b3 is a huge threat now as well. Rook b3. Rook b3. He's got rook e6 to cut the check. So check rook g3. You have to take like rook e1. Maybe rook e1. Rook e1. Rook e1. Rook e1. Rook e1. Frustrating. Frustrating. Now he's got to play like Rook e1 and Queen a4 maybe? Queen e2. Queen e... Rook d... Oh no, Queen e3. Queen f3. Check. Queen b8. Queen b8. It's just going to be a draw now. He had Queen e5 check, I think. Queen e5? Okay, so Shaq is trying to keep the game interesting. Rook d2! What is this? Rook takes d2! Oh my gosh! How many times do you miss this? This is unbelievable. I'm really just... I don't know what to say. G4, G4, go for the win. F5 maybe? Rook takes f4. Yeah, he's just... Shaq's just not good enough. He's just not good enough when they get down to like 2 seconds. Yeah, I mean, I think Wesley's going to give him a draw here to be nice. Yeah, Wesley's just going to be nice, I think, and give him a draw. He shouldn't give him a draw, but... Terrible. Yeah, last 3+1 game, yeah. I mean, Shaq has to win. I don't really see Shaq winning this match, though, because he should have won the last 2 to 3 games and he didn't. So, I don't really see it happening. Do you think he's nice or nervous? I mean, Wesley's made like 2 or 3 horrendous blunders that, I mean, you should just see. I just don't know how Shaq didn't play Rook takes d2. It's shocking to me. I don't even really know what to say. Do I see myself transitioning into commentating chess in the future? It's possible, certainly. Okay, I would have played, maybe try to get some kind of quick attack here. This is obviously fine for black, but knight g4 at some point I think is going to be required here. Okay, e5 still doesn't work. I assume white should play h3, stop g4, also create squares. Or actually, first you got to move the bishop because black's threatening this. Maybe bishop a2 or bishop a6. There's actually a free pawn. No, it's not a free pawn. So there's knight b5. No, it's not. Okay, so probably black should play knight g4 here. Or knight e5. Okay, also reasonable. Takes. Black again. Again, Shaq is much better out of the opening. Whether he'll convert it or not, there's knight g4, bishop f4 now is an issue. But Shaq has no issues here whatsoever. It's not that Shaq's not good enough. He's just not an online player. So he's missing so many things in these time scrambles that like if he was sharper or he played more online, he would not miss. For example, Firouzja would not miss any of these tactics. As an example, Firouzja would not miss any of these tactics. Maybe e5, knight g4, rook e1 looks good for white. I think e5 is a good move. e5 in conjunction with knight b5 and knight d6 looks great for white. I expect e5. I don't really see what Shaq's idea is after e5. Yeah, of course Wesley plays e5. Firouzja blunders, but Firouzja would not miss. Firouzja would capitalize on every single one of these mistakes that Wesley has made within 5 seconds. And I would too. Okay, knight b5 looks just winning. Knight b5, knight d6, and I think white's just completely winning. Knight d6 and then h3, or actually knight d6, maybe you can move the rook and then take. Maybe not 100% clear. There's also b4. Takes, bishop b4, rook d4. b4 actually looks extremely strong there because there's just rook d4 taking advantage of the two pieces. I think b4 was maybe just winning for white even. I think b4 was winning for white. Someone says, every time you say Shaq, I visualize Shaquille O'Neal hunched over a board trying to pick up tiny pieces with his mammoth hands. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, b4 was winning for white, I'm pretty sure. I think b4 is just flat out winning because this is still good for white because you have h3. But maybe there's some tricks here for black. First, maybe queen c7, threatening knight f2 and bishop f2. And then at b3, I secondarily have b5 because my queen supports the pawn on a5. But the problem with this is now on b5, I take the pawn. It's a rook, not a queen, so you don't support the pawn on a5 here. That's why I like queen c7 more than I plays h6, very committal move because now h3 traps the knight permanently. You have knight h6. Maybe you can play a4 here. Actually, what about a4? Because then if takes, I take because your knight is no longer protected. I think a4 is a forced move here. You got to go a4. a4. Okay, so he finds it. Like a4 here. So white has some issues here. So you play h3, I'm going to sack. Okay, knight b2. So obviously you take. Although you can take on e5 too. You can also just sack and take the second pawn. Because if you play knight f2, rook f2 takes, queen f2, a b3. I feel like black's got enough comp. I would just take everything on f2 and take on b3 here. So if you take on b3, I get knight d3 to support e5 and f2. And then I'm going to go h3 and trap your knight. You just have to sack on f2 here. There's... But now knight d3, and again h3 is coming. Yeah, this is not correct. So if ab3, h3. Yeah, this is just no good. Just a free pawn for white. Just knight e5. Yeah, okay, this is going to be the end. Shaq really needed to win this game, and he was on the path to winning this game. He was on the path, but he just lost the thread, loses the game, down by 4. End of the 3-minute portion. Unfortunately for Shaq, I don't think it's going to get better. So I think, again, we're going to take a break. It's another 7-minute break, I think, before they start the next one. So I'm going to go grab some more liquids. I'm going to go grab a few more liquids, and then liquid, I should say. I'm going to grab more liquid, and I will be back in a couple of minutes, you guys. All right, you guys. So we should be back now. Okay, so it looks like things are definitely not going Shaq's way. I think most likely he's probably just going to get smoked in the 1+1. Yep. Yeah. All right, you guys. So I'm back. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, Shaq. It's strange because I feel like Wesley should have won this match much more easily than he's going to win it, because he's been very lucky in the last couple of games. He should have definitely lost the last two games. He's definitely has not played the best chess. He should have also lost the first two games. So if you think about just the last two games of the 3+1 and the first two games of the 5+1, right there, Wesley's lead would already be gone and he'd be losing by 2 or 3 points. So it's very surprising to me because I thought Wesley would win this match pretty cleanly without many issues, but he's actually been soundly outplayed, it feels like, which is just bizarre because I feel like he's a huge favorite. So very, very surprising. Nonetheless, he is ahead by 4 points. Someone's asking me, like, 10K viewers. That's because chess.com has front page coverage on Twitch. That's the main reason. In terms of why someone said, why am I not rooting for my compatriot? It's not that I'm not rooting for Wesley. I just always root for whomever I feel is playing the best chess. And I feel like Shakhriar has played better chess than Wesley. So that's why I'm rooting for Shaq. It has nothing to do with like rooting against Wesley. I always feel like there should be some justice, and whoever plays the best chess should win. So that's the main reason that I guess you could say I'm rooting for Shaq. 'Cause I feel like he's just played better chess. So, all right, you guys. So, Joe says quality's below what I expect in this match. Yeah, I don't feel like Wesley's having his best day ever, and Shaq, of course, in many of these time scrambles is making some really big howlers. So it hasn't been great chess, but obviously Wesley's been able to keep it all together a little bit better. So now it's a 4-point lead for Wesley as we approach the 1 minute section, which should be starting very soon. We will be back tomorrow. I will be doing coverage of the match between Ali Reza and Levon. So Ali Reza Firouzja, the 16-year-old phenom from Iran, and Levon Aronian, of course, very famous player from Armenia, pretty consistently in the top 10, ranked as high as number 2. He will be playing against Ali Reza. So that should be a very fun match. I do think that I'm going to go out on a limb and predict that Ali Reza wins the match. I think he's going to win the match because I think Levon's going to get flustered in the time scrambles and have trouble keeping up, and I feel like Levon's basically going to do what Wesley's doing today, except that Ali Reza is not going to let him off the hook when he makes these blunders inside 5 seconds at the end of games. So that's why I think I'm going to say I'm going to put my money on Firouzja to win tomorrow, just for that reason, because I think Levon, he's going to get flustered and he's going to make blunders when they get into these time scrambles. And I think unlike Shakhriar, Ali Reza, of course, plays a lot online, and I think he's going to punish these blunders mercilessly. So that's the reason that I think Ali Reza is going to win the match, because I think Levon is going to make some mistakes in these time scrambles, and Ali Reza is just going to be unrelenting and not miss or not capitalize on the chances he gets. So that's my prediction for tomorrow. But we will be here. I will be doing coverage. I believe that starts at the same time. Does that start at noon Eastern or 10 a.m. Eastern? I'm not sure. What time does this? Can somebody tell me in the chat what time it starts at? It's you, Hikaru, I want to see play. Well, JMC, I did play my match in the Speed Chess Championship against Vladimir Dobrov yesterday, so you can't really say that I haven't been playing. So, yeah. I'm spoiling the games by telling you guys the result of tomorrow's game. It's a prediction. A prediction is not indicative of what's going to happen in the future. It's just an educated guess. So I don't think I'm telling you guys what's going to happen. Of course, I could be proven wrong. I could just, know the future. But if I knew the future, I would probably be extremely rich, and I would not be. I would be out like not streaming chess if I knew what was going to happen in the future. Anyway, yeah. So, I mean, if I knew the future, I'd be like a trillionaire or something, obviously. So, yeah. Well, past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Of course, that's the well-known investment line. Yeah, if I knew the future, I'd never lose a chess game either. That's also a very good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Indeed. Um, okay, so I think that they should be starting pretty soon now. Kradish UK says, okay, let's start the clock. Here we go. Okay, first game of the 1+1, 30 minutes. I expect Wesley to cruise here. Already, Shaq has to win. I would say this is already a must-win game for Shaq. Down by 4 going to bullet. Has to win games right away. Okay, e5, knight d5, probably a4, e6, ab5, knight b6. Known theory here. Okay, I'll play the other order. Knight b6 takes e6, of course. So bishop b7, so white castles. You take, knight b5, and then you try to develop. Black basically tries to argue this pawn on c4 is not a super weakness, because your structure is compromised on the king side if you take on c4. Final score of this match, I'm gonna predict that Wesley wins this portion by +3. So I'm gonna say Wesley wins this. Okay, so if Wesley wins 3-0, that would be 14-7. I think Wesley's gonna win this section 6-3. 6-3. I think Wesley's gonna win 6-3. So he's gonna win. So I would say 17-10. 17-10 is my final prediction. Queen h4, of course. If you take, I just take. G3, Queen h3, Bishop f1. Queen h5, Bishop e2. Draw. 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 Bishop e2, draw. Okay. Okay, so they draw the first game. Of course, white can't take. So Queen f3, Queen h1 is just mate. That's why they draw the first game. Yeah, I think, I mean, well, I said 9 games. They could also draw. Don't forget they could draw quite a few games too. There's going to be some nastiness, like c3 castles knight g5 or something at some point. I think already knight g5 is very strong for white in this order, but he doesn't do it. So Wesley's just going to play classic chess here. It's knight d2, rook d1, knight d2, knight f1, knight g3. It's still 9 games. Yeah, this is true. Okay, knight d4, queen g4. Queen g4, of course. Maybe knight b3, queen g7, rook f8, rook b1. This actually looks okay for Shaq so far. No, so is up 4. It's +4 for so. It's not +3. Okay, so sorry, we've got more moves. Knight c5 played. Yeah, it's 11.5, 7.5. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. 9 games isn't enough. I'm gonna add one more on each. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be 18 to 11. He's still gonna win. He's gonna win 7-4. So I think it's gonna be 18 to 11. That's my final prediction. There was also rook a8, rook h8, rook g8 to make a draw. Rook h8, rook g8 is a draw here, actually. He's got rook h8, rook g8 is just a draw. Yeah, I mean, Shaq has to try to win here, so I mean, maybe there's a knight e2 trick. Knight e2 may looked interesting. Now rook f4 and plays rook d1. There's going to be some rook a1 nastiness, I think. Rook a1. Plays knight d4. Wow. I don't like what Wesley's done at all in this game. Now there's queen b4 because you lose the rook on e1. If you play like rook b1, there's rook a2 also. Black can just play, actually rook d2 looks good. Just rook d2. Or, queen c5, but now queen f3? Ouch. Ouch. Have to go bishop b7 and hope. Ouch. You can just take and take with the queen. Queen f7 just wins. Rook b1. Rook c7 or queen f4. d3. There's no mate for white somehow. Is d2? d2? Somehow king d, somehow like king d4, rook c4, king c3 or queen c3. Okay, this is crazy. Shaq has survived and he actually probably can't lose now. Play like queen c2 or queen d4, queen g5. Ouch! 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 Ouch. That's unfortunate because Shaq somehow survived that. Completely lost position, survived, and should have won that game. Oh, that's unfortunate. So yeah, now I would say clearly the match is over. I think the match is definitely over now. Knight c6, knight g3, maybe bishop c4. Bishop c4. Ooh, queen e2, maybe. Plays knight e6. I don't know if I like that. I thought knight g5. I don't know. Knight g5 didn't work. Just e4, knight g5. Probably just castles here. Just castle. Just take on d3 though. This looks crazy. There's also bishop f7, but maybe takes or bishop f7 first. He's gonna have to play bishop c4 to try and take this pawn. Bishop c4 I think is required. Checks and bishop c4. Threatens knight f7, threatens the pawn. Take a drink. Take a drink. Take a drink. There's knight e6 here, which might be safest. Okay, rook e1 maybe? Knight e5, knight e2. Very, very messy. Plays b3, b5. b5, rook e5 maybe. I guess you have to play knight e5. It goes rook e5, knight e2. Queen d4, bishop a3. Very, very sharp. Feels like black. I feel like Wesley's gonna find a way to win this game too, though. Yeah, I would just play bishop. I would just take and go king g8 and argue this knight is good. I'm getting knight g4, knight h2. Bishop a3 is kind of an only move, I think. I don't know why he's thinking here. There are no other moves for white. Unless he wants to play bishop d. No, but that just loses because you're taking, you lose the rook on a1. Wow, knight g8. Wesley doesn't even take. Now there's bishop c5, maybe? Also bishop d3. What? Queen a1? Yeah. Yeah, this is gonna get out of hand. Okay, probably Benko or something. Okay, he's gonna play Benoni. This portion, I mean, it's just Shaq. It's just in this portion, I expect Shaq to get rolled because it's just bullet. The Benino. This is the Benoni. Is there some rook e3 sack? No, there's no sack. Okay. There's bishop e5. This already is very weird. This doesn't look good for white, for black. I mean, it's like knight c4. Okay, takes a pawn. I think Wesley's just up a pawn for nothing here, like king e2. Mind you, the rook on h2 prevents castling here, but I mean, you got to you have to do something for counterplay here, and I just don't see it. Knight e4 I don't like, because now there's rook e5 and f5, maybe bishop f5 as well. Thought knight c4 was good. Okay, bishop d7. Don't blunder f4 because knight f4, obviously. There's rook takes d5 to bishop b5. Rook takes d5. Ah, he misses it. Probably rook e8. He's got to go f5, f4 now. f5, f4 is only try. f5, dude. f5. Ugh. Ugh. f4. He's actually rook f5, e4, rook f6, g3, traps your queen. g3 just traps your queen. Yeah, I mean, you have to sack, but still g3, queen g5, knight f4. Yeah, you still just lose. It doesn't do anything. Yeah, h5 was a really, really ugly move. Really ugly. Really ugly. So yeah, this match obviously is over at this point. It's not going to get closer. Well, it could get closer score-wise, but this match is over. Come on, Shaq, show us at 2300 levels. Shaq just doesn't play online, so I'm not shocked by this bullet portion. I mean, if you don't play online, like, if you don't play online at all, then like it's, I mean, that's gonna in bullet especially, like it's gonna show. So bishop d5 takes queen d5, which is great for black. So not great, but it's just equal, just very drawish. Queen d4 plays rook d8. I guess you still have to take. Very drawish. Bishop d4, I would assume. Probably knight. Yeah, I was gonna say knight d5 or knight d7. That makes sense. I think there's knight b4. Just although it's a little bit tricky here for white. Just or not white. Sorry, for black. There's always going to be some a3 here at some point, like right here. But now knight a2. Knight a2, you take and go rook c2, so that's good for white. Plays b6. So I assume white should just take the pawn and play a long endgame here. Takes. So it's you know, it's tricky. Five versus four. This is probably winning in a normal game. In a blitz game, I don't think he'll win. JMC says, "Do you think Hikaru knows Ryan O'Neal? Isn't that some actor guy? I think." Okay, obviously e4, e5 at some point. E4, e5. Yeah, I mean this. He misplayed this. Yeah, h4, g3 is coming too. Like this is just like not gonna get it done by Shaq. Although by playing h4 takes g3, there is rook b1, rook g1. It's still just a draw though. He's just an actor, right? He's in what though? What was he in? A7, of course. Just a draw. King e4, king f3, maybe? It doesn't make any difference. Yeah. Maybe king e4, king e5, though. Try to keep the game alive. Gotta go king e4, king e5, king f6. Okay, f6, maybe just rook g8, rook e8. Just a draw, though, I think. Maybe rook g6 and f5, though. Actually, rook g6 and f5. Ah, rook f8. But just check f5 and rook e4 should hold. Here takes. Yeah, there's rook f7. There's rook f7. He goes king e4, but now after king f6, You have rook f7 at the end. Ah, now it's going to get messy. Because now you can take. King f5 is just winning for white. The king's cut. This is just winning for white. King g4? This is completely winning. Rook e8. White's just winning. Wow. Wesley completely misplayed that. He could have just taken e3, king f5, and he had rook f7 check to make the draw, and he completely missed it. King g6. King f7, you bring the rook back, make the bridge. What is king h6? Okay, f7 works. Just bring the rook back and check, and then king e8 or build the bridge. Yeah, rook d4. And now you build the bridge. Build the bridge. King f5, rook f4. Rook d5, rook f5, make the secondary bridge. A check, king d5, king c4, king b3, king a2, and you make a queen. Queen, yeah. Oh, is Wesley's gonna play? I mean, this is a little bit excessive for Wesley to clock this because he's up by 7 points. Like, there's not enough time. There's not enough time for not Wesley, sorry, for Shaq to come back. Shaq offers a draw. Okay, that was weird. So Shaq offered a draw. Shaq offered a draw. Wesley declined and then resigned. That's pretty funny, actually. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. That's funny. So I guess it's pretty clear that Shaq has given up. On the flip side, it gives me a shot of getting back to being correct on the final score. That was pretty funny. Maybe bishop h3 here. Okay, queen b3, knight f8, knight e6. I don't think that was a misclick. I think Shaq actually was just like, okay, enough is enough. I don't care anymore. I think that's why I don't think it was a misclick by Shaq. I think he's just like, yeah, it's, you know, I'm gonna lose the match. Who cares? The problem with this format is they have a dead half hour they can't get out of. Yeah, I mean, if the match isn't close, this is true, but I would like to see Shaq win this game just so that we at least have something to look forward to here at the end. He's gonna go bishop g2, of course, and put pressure on the pawn. Or takes because this also queen d4, rook d1. Still, nothing much is gonna happen here. What rating do I have? My bullet is somewhere around 3250, I think. 94. 96. Okay, this is obviously just very drawish. Queen d5 and h6 is one of the easiest ways to make a draw. He plays queen g6, bishop c7 maybe? He had bishop f4 also. Takes? Uh-oh, free piece. Uh-oh. I mean, it's 5 points. Like, it's not gonna be some huge comeback anyway. Not with 11:56 left. What did I predict? I predicted 1811, right? 1710 was my original one. 1710 I think was my original prediction. Am I going to stream after the match? No, you guys, I won't be streaming after the match, mainly because tomorrow I'm just streaming. I think it's even earlier. I think it's at 10 o'clock. So I was right though, oddly enough. Like, they are not going to get that many games in. Yeah, 1710 or 1811. Yeah, but my original guess was closer, that they're not going to actually get that many games in, surprisingly. Of course, I think at this point Wesley's just like, yeah, whatever. I just want this to end, because Wesley can't lose at this point, not with 11 minutes left. Still time for 5+ games? Nah, not gonna happen. In 1+0, I mean, Wesley would be the favorite, obviously. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point they both just want to draw. Queen h6 looked better than Queen g6, I thought, just to threaten the mate. Rook h4, rook g4, and it's going to be GG time pretty soon. Queen h5. And this is just, bleh, gross. Gross for white. This is just losing. Rook g4. Okay, rook g3, rook h5, rook g2 is just winning. Okay, so we get a quick one from Wesley. So predictions are back in line, kind of. Still 10 minutes to go. We will probably get to. So I said 18-11. Let's see if I'm right. So he needs to get two. It needs to be 2.5, 1.5, 4 more games in the next 10 minutes to be right. He's already losing for black. Queen c7, like knight a4, knight b5, or knight d5. He just sacks a pawn, try and generate some counterplay. Okay, d5. So Shaq is just going to sack material here and pray. Like rook e8, knight c5. 4 games in 10 minutes does seem likely. Yeah, I think it should happen as long as they don't have some really long drawn out endgame. Didn't he have bishop takes d4, knight b3 to win material? Why did he play queen d5? He could have taken and played knight b3. Now queen a2, knight b3, but I think white still gets castles here. Yeah, white still gets castles, there are no issues. Okay, knight c6 is coming at some point. Not b3 because then you blunder. You blunder knight c3, knight e2. Knight b2, rook d4 is just a big fat draw. Plays rook d5, b3, knight c3, or knight c5, more logical. Back to a4 we go. Oh, rook e8, nice move by Shaq. Knight e6, knight b3, or knight a6. Probably knight b3 here, or b5. So obviously, okay, now knight b3 and it's just a draw. Nothing you can do because both these pawns are going to be liquidated here. Yeah, so it's just going to be a draw. But see, the problem here is, yeah, see, Wesley at this point, because he's up by so much, will just make the draw. If this was closer, Wesley would have drawn that game out for another 3 minutes. But because the match is basically over, there's no real reason. Okay, so castles, king e7, e5, you take, and play knight d5, of course, next move. Probably bishop d2 here and c4 makes a lot of sense for white. We're getting close, 16-10, 7-19. Let's see, can I get 18-11? So I want 2-1 here. Yeah, if Wesley didn't have the match in hand, he would have made that game go another 3 minutes if he didn't have the match in hand. But because he's up by like 6 points and it's not close, he doesn't care. Ooh, g5, very strong, very strong. There's takes, f6, takes though, and maybe it's nothing. So f6, maybe just go back to d2. Maybe you can trade first and takes, but hard to see anything special happening here for white. Okay, so you should take on f6 first. What, bishop h6? Gotta go bishop h6 here. Takes. Is there no way to win here? Maybe rook f1. Just rook f1. Just ignore it and keep pressure. Rook f1. Rook f1, dude. Rook f1. Rook f1. Rook f1. Just rook f1. Oh, rook f1, man. Rook f1. Okay, check. But rook f1. Rook f1. Of course, Wesley's not going to blunder it now because now he sees it. Oh, rook f1 I think was winning for white, actually. Rook f1 instead of rook g3 was winning for white. Rook f1 was completely winning for white. I should be rooting for 1811, yes, but the problem is the draw makes 1811 much more unlikely. That's the problem. Queen c2. 3 castles. Actually, I think Shaq just blundered. This is just like winning for white, I think. Maybe, although no, wait, there's maybe queen a, there's queen a5 here, so it's not so simple. Bishop h7, king h8. e5, d4 is a threat. dc4, obviously. Knight g5, f5, queen c4. Whoa, bishop g8, f5. Sharp. There's also knight d3 check to cut the diagonal. How does this go? Maybe bishop g4 or c3. Okay, knight d3. Knight d3 takes. e4 maybe? e4? Queen e4, bishop. Oh wow. Brilliant game here by Shakhriar. Or wait, no, there's a draw. Oh, there's a draw here. Oh, really, really nasty. Unfortunately, they're not going to draw us out, so it's going to be more than 1811. But I'm going to be very close, I think. Come on, Wesley, win this game. Yeah, the draw makes 1811 much more likely, right? But I mean, we've got 335 left, so they're gonna get in 2 more games because they're playing too fast, I think. And they're also at this point, because it's over, they're not like trying to slow it down and run the clock out. So, and Wesley has a great position out of the opening. Yeah, I'm cheering for my bet now. Yes, of course, that's what I'm cheering for. It's Bishop G1 maybe, but he'll just take knight E2 and like G5 maybe. It's always Bishop E3 too. Now, what I really want is Shaq needs to just think, take a deep breath, think for like 2 minutes, just chill out. 253. Come on, this game needs to go for another 3 minutes. And this is good. They're both thinking. This is just what I want. Rook d8 played. Obviously, knight a4, rook d1. Both are good. Problem is, this isn't looking good for Wesley to win this game. There's h4, which I think just wins a piece. Or no, you've got queen b5. You've got queen b5. Queen a2? Queen a1? Knight b1? Black's actually got development issues here. Probably knight f8. Or b5, bishop b7, bishop d5. Still very sharp, actually. Very, very sharp here. King h8. Just bishop b... Oh my gosh, Shaq wondered knight f8. Oh, geez. Come on, Shaq, don't resign. Keep fighting on. Keep it going. So rook d8, bishop b7 maybe or something. He plays b4. Queen b2 to try and trap the queen, maybe? D2 or something. Okay, gf6, knight e5. Yeah, this is just losing. Still 1 minute left. 1 minute to go. Queen c3 maybe? Shaq's got to find some way to keep the game going. Yeah, knight f3 just went. Oh, he's got queen f4. Oh man, Shaq won. Oh, come on, Wesley. You're supposed to win. What was that? Ruining my prediction. Ruining my prediction. Wesley was supposed to win that game. He was winning, obviously, but he just had to blunder and throw it all away. Anyway, this is gonna be the last game. 18-12, still pretty close. Yeah, well, but oh right, but this game will count, so definitely. All right, you guys, and so with that, you see time has run out. Thank you, Flexor, for the 4-month resub. Thank you so much. So with that, it looks like we have reached the end of the match. Obviously, Wesley's going to win the match regardless of his result. Wesley is completely winning in this game, so 18-12. It looks like it's going to be the final score. Hard to judge this match. I feel like Shaq definitely played much better in the 5-1 and 3-1 than Wesley did, but the time scrambles obviously got to him. So definitely that hurt. Knight a7, knight c6 is of course very good. Rook e1's fine. Pawn at h6 is knight d6 is just game over. So I think Shaq's gonna just resign here. So Shaq resigned. So 18-12. Yeah, strange match. I mean the 5-1 and 3-1 are close, but the problem is because Shaq didn't convert his chances, then the bullet just became kind of an afterthought where he never really had a chance to get back in. Storm 2709. I mean, considering that Shaq should have won both the 5-1 and 3-1 portions, it should have been close. But it turned out not being close because once Shaq, I mean, messed up those time scrambles, there was no way he was ever going to come back in the bullet. So it was just sort of like the match was over. But still, interesting match. Felt that Shaq played very well. I thought Shaq played very well in the 3-1. The 5-1, it was very choppy up and down. But he was definitely the better player, but he was not good in the time scrambles, which really was his downfall. And then in the bullet, I mean, hard to judge because Wesley got off to a good start, and then Wesley didn't really care because it's just like just kill the match, get it over with. So interesting match. But Wesley ends up being the victor by 18-12. So he does advance the next round of play. I don't actually know who he plays next round, but he plays somebody good, I would assume. And of course Shakhriar is out. So Wesley advances, and that's going to probably be the end of the stream for today. Mainly because I will be covering more of the matches tomorrow. I will be covering the match between Ali Reza Firouzja and Levon Aroni, which I believe starts at 10 a.m. Eastern. I will double check on that, of course, but assuming it starts at 10 a.m. presuming it starts at 10 a.m. Eastern, I will be covering that. Be on a little bit before that, like 9:30, for more coverage. So I hope you enjoyed the coverage of the Speed Chess Championship match between Levon, or I was about to say Levon Aroni, between Shakhriar Mamedyarov and of course the victor Wesley. So in the match between Wesley and MVL, obviously I go with MVL. MVL just has a lot of experience, fabulous blitz player as well. So I would say MVL. But we'll be back tomorrow with more coverage. So gonna send you guys over with the raid to Danya, and we'll be back tomorrow morning. So thank you to everybody for the resubs. Thank you to Decau, especially for the 100 gifted. Thanks to the mods, BrujaWeb, ChessBase specifically, for the great job modding. Obviously going to be a little bit hectic, but thanks to both of them as well as all the other mods. So I'm going to head out for now, and I will be back tomorrow. All right, have a great rest of your Wednesday afternoon, everybody. Peace out.